It's a shame that all of our friends have come and gone. Oh, it's a shame that all of our friends have come and gone. It's a game that we play for far too long. Hiding here in the dark, just let me in. And it feels so comfortable. This bit full of sin. Again and again. You tore it out of me. You tore it out. Seems as though it's been better for me. Watching rain trickle down your cheek. The voices stay and they're so complimentary. The sense is mine to give to you to keep. It seems as though it's been better for me. Watching rain trickle down And this is staying, and they're so complimentary. The sense is mine to give to you to keep. It seems as though it's been better for me, watching the world trickle down your cheek, and persistent mind so complimentary. The sense is mine to give to you to keep. Such a game we played for far too long, hiding here in the dark. Just let me in, and it feels so comfortable. This bit full of sin, again and again. Well, it's a shame that all of our friends have come and gone. Well, it's a shame that all of our friends have come and gone. It's a game that we played for far too long, hiding here in the dark. Just let me in, and it feels so comfortable. This bit full of sin, again and again. You tore
Good evening, race fans. I'm Pirate here with Black Flag Racing TV, and I'll tell you what, we've got an absolute doozy for you this evening. It is the Mind Endurance event, round number 3. We had the first round at Le Mans. We had round number 2 a couple of weeks ago, and that was at Bathurst. We are now at the iconic Daytona Raceway, and really looking forward to this evening. It's going to be an awesome event, and we're going to have a quick run through in a minute, but let's do the track guide initially, and you can see what it's all about. There you have it, 138.097. Great lap there from Pimpton. And he is our resident stick. Some say that he was born with a rubber for feet, but we just call him PM10.
Join Mind now in the fight for mental health.
That's what it's all about. We are raising money for Mind, the charity. Have a little issue at the moment with the audio input, which I will sort out shortly. I don't know what the problem is there, but I will find out and sort it ASAP. We are in the middle of qualifying, but while they are going around the track, we've still got a little while of qualifying to go. Let's have a quick look. Firstly, at how much money we've raised. £552 and 11p we've raised so far. That is absolutely phenomenal. Very, very pleased. You've got to be pleased with that. And you know, if we can reach that £500 mark, even better. Last race results. There we are. Yellow Sausages, 2 wins from 2 for him. He won in Le Mans. He won again at Bathurst last week. Stormfly coming in second. Wiggy was third. TJ Fubar round out the top 5. This is how it leaves the standings, though. So, Yellow Sausages, after 2 wins, top of the table. Unfortunately, though, he is back in hospital after issues with his leg. So, we're going to miss you, buddy. Get well soon. So, he's unfortunately not going to win this championship. But look at the top 5 there. TJ, Wiggy, Stormfly, all sitting on 40 points. Just outside the top 5, BM Racing and Fubar on 30 points. So, it's still all to race for everybody. So there's the results. That's where we're at so far. So I think the next thing for us to do really is to jump into the lobby and see how everyone is getting on, I think. Shall we do that? Yeah, let's do that. Let's close all these down then. We don't need all of this. We'll see how everyone's getting on qualifying wise, shall we? Boom, here we go. I don't know why, but we are really struggling with for some strange reason we're not getting any game input sound. We were earlier, but it seems to have disappeared. I will sort that problem out in a second. Let's have a look. Anyway, so let's have a quick look at qualifying and where we're at. I'll leave you with this while I try and find a solution to this problem. Don't know why we haven't got it, so I have to have the volume from my TV while I try and solve it. Might try and solve it in a little break when we get a chance. So, let's have a little look. We haven't got a full lobby this evening. Might be the fact of a little football match going on today. But we've got some new racers with us. Arooms from the Netherlands. We're starting to get a good contingent from the Netherlands joining us. And there is Arooms. He is in the Mercedes AMG. Very, very strong car around here. It's got that good, solid straight line speed. Obviously, the key here is how quickly you can get out of the bus stop. We'll have a look at how everyone's doing. But he's done a 1:45.3 in that AMG. Few drivers have said they're going to give us a surprising car, so let's see what they've got. Stormfly has gone for the Super Silhouette, and that is a brilliant, brilliant choice of car for around here, just purely because of that awesome straight line speed. It's not wonderful round corners, but that's not so much of a big deal here, because it is all about how quickly you can get the car around the racetrack. Colum from Canada, he is in the what's that, the Aston Martin? Can't see what car that is. Looks to me to be the Aston Martin. Could be wrong though. What's he done? He's done a 1:45.7. Currently third fastest. Fubar's gone for the GTR. There's the GTR in it. Let's get a bit closer to the car when we can see them. No, that's the Jaguar. So he's gone for the Jaguar, which is a really good choice for around here. Because again, that straight line speed thing. And he's just put himself third with a 46.0. It can't be third if Cullum's done a 45.7. Oh, he's done a 45.5, that's why. So TJ, he's gone for the Suzuki Swift. Very, very odd choice. But he clearly feels he can get some done. I mean, let's be fair, he's fifth fastest with a 46.0. So not too shabby in the Swift. Old Man Jay also gone for the Suzuki Swift. Now, this car does lack in the straight line speed area, but it is quite nifty through the corners. So do they feel that this will give them extra time through this little infield section here? The sort of road section of the course at Daytona. Don't know. We'll soon see. But they certainly going to be surprised. I mean, it is bloody surprising. Black Mamba back with us again. He's in and out of the group, but he's good to have him back with us. He is gone for the BMW. Good choice. A lot of people don't like the BMW, funny enough, in GR3 or GR4 for that matter. But it's not a bad motor at all. And finally, Grizz Troopers, he's gone for the Corvette. Straight line speed personified. That's American muscle on an American racetrack. Wouldn't expect anything less from him. Busted out of that car there. So there's the 8 runners. We may have Stormfly, Star Group joining us. Wiggy. He is currently at a concert for his kids, I think. So possibly we'll see him in the next 15-20 minutes. Race will start about 8:05. It is 3 hours endurance here at Daytona, and it will be a full 24-hour day and night cycle starting in the afternoon. So about the hour and a half mark is when we'll start to, or hour and a half is when we'll start to see it get dark, and then we'll finish the race again at this time of day, weather conditions nice and sunny. So the only thing you've got to worry about is tyres and fuel. And it's essentially, depending on how hard you push, it's a 1 to 2 stop race. Not super hard on the tyres, but we'll see how hard they push. They do have to run a couple of compounds, soft and medium of the order of the day. Can run harder than they would wish to, but they shouldn't need to. The tyre wear is not significant. That's going to give them any sort of edge by running long on the hard compound tyre. Just wanted to thank our sponsors, because we're coming towards the 2023. Obviously, our lead sponsor, Juggins Machinery, all types of tractors and heavy duty machinery and cranes and pallet lifters and anything you could think of that is that kind of heavy automotive machinery. That is the people to go and see. Also, Club Leaf, sustainability partner. They have an app that will help you reduce your carbon footprint. whether you are an individual or a big organisation. To not only reduce your comfort, but to offset the carbon you do pump out. So Joggins pumps it out and Club Leaf cleans it up. And we have just agreed a partnership with Sim League Pro. They are a online sim racing management resource, and doesn't matter what platform you race on, whether it be GT7 as we are, Formula One, Assetto Corsa, Project Cars, whatever it is, iRacing, they have the tools to make your life easier. And I tell you what, since we've started using it, it makes race check-ins, organising the leagues, organising the races so much easier, and it's all in one place. And drivers can just check in and check out as they wish. Very, very brilliant management tool. Feel free to check them out. But the real reason we're doing this is in aid of Mind. 1 in 15 people will attempt suicide at some point in their lifetime here in the UK. And we want to change that. And it's particularly men that struggle with this. But men aren't the sort to go and get help, and it's all about stiff upper lip and suck it up, buttercup, and all that kind of thing. But mental health is a serious thing, and it's a shame actually that the NHS doesn't really give it the the respect that they would give any other kind of physical injury. So it's left to charities like Mind to pick up the slack, and we've raised £450 for them, and hopefully that will go some way to help.
£40 could help keep Mind's supportive online community side by side, open for another hour, helping to connect people and feel less alone.
Mental health problems affect 1 in 4 of us. Join Mind now in the fight for mental health. Mental health problems affect 1.
That's why we're doing this. Just it's really just to raise some money for them, raise some awareness as well. But we are in qualifying. There is 8 runners, possibly 9 if the other one makes it. Little problem with sound. I don't know why it was working literally 5 minutes ago, and then I started the stream and it stopped working on me. But without ending the stream right here and now, I can't do anything about that, unfortunately. So we're in qualifying. Stormfly currently leads the way in the Super Silhouette Nissan. He's done a 1:44.7. Fubar in the Jaguar. He has done a 45 once. Hasn't got sub 45 yet. Only Stormfly's managed to do that. Black Mamba setting a new record there for himself. And looking forward to seeing how this Jaguar performs, actually. Fubar, we can have a quick look. Let's have another quick look at these standings while he's there. So Fubar is only just outside that the top 5. He's joint third at the moment with BM Racing, and with Brian McCarty not racing today, that gives Fubar a really good opportunity to jump up the order. We've got no Yellow Sausages, who's in hospital. Get well soon, Chris. If you are watching, hope they sort the shit out for you ASAP. So he won't be with us, and he won't be racing for, I imagine, for the rest of the season. He unfortunately going to have to spend Christmas in hospital. So he will be out of the runnings here, despite being the current championship leader. TJ, where is he? TJ has gone for the ridiculous car there. This is the end of qualifying. He's gone for the Suzuki Swift, qualified in 4th in that Swift. So front row is Stormfly and Fubar. We've got Arooms, I'm assuming that's how it's pronounced. If it's not, he can tell me, and by then it's too late. So Arooms, we've got another Dutchman. He qualifies in 3rd place in the Mercedes AMG. TJ in the Suzuki Swift qualifies in 4th place. Kulum, he qualifies in 5th place. 1:45.7 for him. He's running also in the Jaguar. There we go. In the Jaguar. Lovely, jubbly. That's the one we want. Old Man Jay's also gone for the Suzuki Swift. 1:46.3 from him. Qualifies in 6th place on row 3. Just ahead of Black Mamba, who is on row 4 with Grizz Troopers, who is in the Corvette C7. But that's going to be the man to beat today, Stormfly VR46. currently sitting in the table in 4th place. So this is going to be a win here for him. Will take him into the lead of this endurance championship. And this is for charity, this endurance event, but we will be starting a full-on 10-race endurance series. We'll be starting here on Black Flag TV and Black Flag Racing in January. We've got loads of stuff coming up, but yeah, looking forward to it. So the race will start in about 5 minutes' time. There you go, problem solved. Problem solved. Maybe not. So, no, I haven't solved this problem. It's all good though. We've got the background noise here anyway, coming through the microphone. That will do. So there's your lineup. Stormfly, Fubar, Aroons, TJ, Kaloum, Old Man J, Black Mamba, Grizz Troopers, and of course me. But I'm not racing because I am your host for this evening. This is not the only stream today. We'll be finished here. Oh, we're just waiting on James. James will be joining us. We'll start from the back of the grid. He's coming home from his child's concert. So we'll be back shortly with that. So we'll be 9 runners instead of the 8 we've currently got. Bit of a pain having technical problems when they come up, but you know, it is what it is. So we are going to restart. I don't know why that happened. I'm assuming we're restarting the lobby for some unknown reason. Who knows what that is? Clearly a technical issue there, because I don't think that should have happened. I have a feeling someone pressed the wrong button. That's all we can assume anyway. Gotta love it when things go horribly, horribly wrong. Yeah, I knew we were, but I didn't realise we were shutting down the room to do it. What happened to the room, Aaron? Is there a reason why we lost it? Or did James just press right? Did Jay press the wrong button? It's the sort of thing I do, mate. I've done it. I do it a lot. I'm assuming he's restarting. He's gonna. Oh, he did that. He can do he can just reset the grid, can't he? From manually. We know where everyone was. Not that many to remember. Bit of a pain in the ass losing my my game audio like that, but it is what it is. Yeah, so as I was saying, there is 2 streams from Black Flag TV tonight. We've got this, which is the Mind event. 3 hours here around Daytona International Speedway. 9 drivers vying for the Mind Endurance Championship. But once this is done and dusted and everyone's having a little stuff, I absolutely love it, mate. I love that car. It's one of my favourite cars, that Super Silhouette. When it came out, it was one of the... I've bought 2 of them. So I could mess around with one and do engine swaps and stuff with it. Really, really cool. Yeah, so the other stream we've got this evening, 1:30 in the morning, we'll be starting, and it is the culmination of the GT Champions season. It will be 90 minutes at the Road Atlanta racetrack. With there's a selection of 3 different cars, one being the very, very awesome GT500, the Supra GT500, which is a really, really cool car. And that is going to be, that's basically a selection of all the top drivers from the 4 divisions of GT Champions and the commentary team. Well, all of the commentary team, bar me, of course, because I'm going to be commentating and broadcasting that event from 1:30 this morning UK time, and a much more reasonable hour if you are in the afternoon in the United States, for instance, or if you're elsewhere in Europe, it could be 3:30 in the morning if you so wished to join me. But yeah, do join if you can join me for that. That would be a really, really awesome little race there, and no love lost between the other 2 commentators. Looking forward to seeing how Chris and Tatiana go head to head in the battle of the commentators, and also to see how all of the different divisions fare against each other. Will it be Division 1, 2, 3, 4 in that kind of order, or will we see some surprises? I fully expect that there are going to be 1 or 2 from Division 4 that are going to be knocking on the door of the guys from Division 3, and so on and so forth. So if you don't want to catch that live, you can join us for that. You come and watch it tomorrow when it's with a cup of coffee and when you're having your breakfast. So we'll just wait for everyone else to get in the room. It's not letting me spectate. Are we having issues then? No, I'm definitely having problems myself. Looks like I'm having technical issues with the lobby now. Oh dear. Let's wait and see what happens. Back in a sec. I'm going to have to reset the game, having an absolute nightmare with it today. Lobbies, they fixed a couple of things in the patch, but from what I can see, they haven't fixed much. So just logging back in, and hopefully these little bugs are sorted. But a couple of times this happened to me over the last couple of days, jumping in to rooms and just getting nothing. No response back from the server. So let's log in and have another go, shall we? And I'm a lot warmer tonight than I was last night. I was absolutely fucking freezing yesterday. My boiler packed up about 5 o'clock in the evening. About 4 o'clock in the evening. Called my brother-in-law round, being he's a gas engineer. He had a look at it. Found the problem was outside. He called people that should come and sort that. They said 4 hours. They texted me at midnight last night to tell me they were coming. I stayed up all night waiting for them. They still didn't fucking show up. So I went and give it a whack with a hammer this morning. And the gas is working again. And just waiting for them. They're still waiting for them to turn up, of course. Right, let's see if I can get in the room and it works properly this time, shall we? Too many server issues, not enough time. That's the problem. It's not just me, though. I have seen it elsewhere. Boom, we're in. Finally. Cooking. Love it. Right, so what is Wiggy driving? Let's have a look. So Stormfly, we know, is in the Lada, or the Super Silhouette as it's otherwise known. And I love that car. It's a beautiful car. Wiggy is in the... Is that the Jaguar? Looks to me like he's in... I know he's gone for the Suzuki Swift as well. So interesting. So Old Man J, TJ and Wiggy all gone for the Suzuki Swift. Now I've got to say, it's not a bad looking car. If you're a hairdresser, of course. No, it's all right. It's not too bad. Not quite sure how well I think this is going to fare in this race, but we will see what we will see. And I'm hoping Wiggy is deliberately stopped on the track and that's not a bug. Looks to me that he's just parked up on the track. So I think the grid's just going to be set and then we're just going to go from there. But it was, if I remember rightly, it was Stormfly leading the way. Then it was Fubar in the Jaguar. Then we had Rooms, which is what TJ gets when he meets a man on Grindr. I'm only joking, buddy. Only joking. Then I think it was actually TJ. Then Old Man J, Black Mamba. Oh, sorry, no, it was Colum, Old Man J, Black Mamba, and then Grizz Troopers. And James will obviously start. Will start from the rear of Zipak, having not qualified, of course. So we're all in. I think we are ready to go. At least I hope we are. I think we're just waiting for the grid to get set. Let's take this screen off now then, because I think we're ready to go. Do you like my jingle bell balls that I've put up? They're the stream Christmas decorations. That's as good as it's going to get. And I think while we're waiting for the race start, shall I go and fill up my coffee? That's one way to do it. Right, here we go. See how I lined up ready to go. It is Stormfly from Fubar, from Arooms, TJ, Colum, Old Man J, Black Mamba, Grizz Troopers, and out the rear is Wiggy. We've got 3 in that Suzuki Swift. We've got 3, I think, in the Jaguar. We've got Super Silhouette out in front, which is a really, really interesting choice. And I'm going to have to jump out and jump back in order to get that's what I want. And it looks like Stormfly swallowed up off the line by Rooms, Fubar and Colum. So those Jaguars really, really quick off the line. That's where the Super Silhouette is going to suffer, but straight line speed will win out. At the end of the day, I think the Fubar just drops down to 4th, and there is already a slide from TJ. TJ, Old Man J, Grizz Troopers, all in a little bit of a cluster at the back there in the 2 Suzuki Swifts and the Chevrolet, all spinning in turn 1, and Arooms off into the lead in that AMG Mercedes-Benz, already almost a second clear of Colum, the Canadian driver, who is in the Jaguar. Stormfly in 3rd place. He did get back 1 place from Fubar. Fubar just behind him. But in terms of tyre strategies, who is starting on the soft compound tyres? Well, everyone up to Wiggy starts on the soft compound. Wiggy already up to 5th place after that little coming together between Old Man J, Grizz Troopers and TJ into turns 1 and 2. Old Man J on the medium tyres. Grizz Troopers also on the medium compound tyres. TJ opting for the softs. And as he just goes past Grizz Troopers there, up into 7th place. Black Mamba, 6 seconds back already. He's on the soft compound tyres. So a bit of work for him to do in that BMW at this stage of the race. But it is only lap 1. We are racing for 3 hours here at Daytona. So don't be surprised if everything changes. But there is the current race leader. He qualified in 3rd. Aruns gets himself up into the lead and already pulls out of the slipstream range, and that's where he wants to be. He wants to be out of that slipstream. He does not want the cars behind using him as a slingshot to get the fastest lap and get around them. So we are into lap 2, turn 1, lap 2. And that Mercedes-Benz at the moment is looking strong. So Old Man J and Goods Troopers both jumping into the pits to get rid of the medium compound tyres early on. Now, it's a strategy that Old Man J has used in the previous 2 races, is get rid of the harder of the 2 compounds after just 1 lap. Worked out quite well for him, actually, at Mount Panorama, Bathurst last time out. And he had a good, strong midfield finish. Not quite so lucky with the race at Le Mans, but still did quite well. So, but we started with 9 drivers. And here's the thing. Now, these endurance events, people have jumped into these with the expectation that they think they can last the 3 hours, and we had an issue at Le Mans where a few people rage quit and never came back. We did have an issue with there was a health issue and an equipment issue we had at Bathurst last time out, so we ended up losing a few. So hopefully all 9 stay on the racetrack, because that's about what we finished with, 9, 10, 11. So quite a small turnout for Bathurst, but I'm putting that down, so for Daytona, but I'm putting that down to the football and it being so close to proper Grimble. And maybe it's just some people just don't like this track. But Grid Troopers out of the pits. He's on those racing soft tyres, 2.5 seconds behind Old Man J. He's taken that Suzuki Swift into the pits, puts on some soft compound tyres, and he will now run a long way into this race. 8.2 seconds back from Black Mamba, who has yet to pit, so he's on the soft tyres. So it's going to take some time to close up that gap, but they have already pit, which is always going to be a benefit. TJ in the Swift, 2.7 seconds ahead of Black Mamba, 15 seconds though back from Wiggy. Now, he is the lead Swift at the moment, 15 seconds up the road. He's 2.9 behind Fubar, so 3.2. So at the moment, Fubar not pulling away super quick, but we're only on lap 3. And if we look at lap times, there is a 46.0 for Wiggy, a 45.9 for Fubar. So actually not that much difference in terms of lap time. So maybe, and bearing in mind, he did start from the very back of the pack. So already big movement from Wiggy up the order. He will be desperately trying to hunt down Stormfly at this stage, because with Chris not being able to continue in this tournament, these two have got to be two of the favourites to take the title here for this Endurance Series. So 3.6 seconds up there is the Jaguar of Fubar Philantis. And Phil doing very well, did well last time out at Bathurst. And Judd got it a little bit wrong on strategy, but you know, if you consider that he didn't have the information us viewers have when he made that call, very strong finish from him at Bathurst. Did very well. So he's been there or thereabouts for, in fact, most of the races he's been in. He's kind of knocking on the door just outside that top 3. So I don't think it'll be long before we see a podium championship finish from this boy. He's half a second behind Colum from Canada. And it's good to see that we've got a Canadian and an American in the lobby, and we don't have too many lag problems, which sometimes we tend to get when the host is on a European server. But no such problems so far. And at least they fixed something. It is just 0.8 of a second up to Stormfly in the Super Silhouette. He is watching Aruns, his countryman, already 1.2 seconds clear in that AMG. Was the AMG the best car to pick? That's the car that our very own resident Stig PM10 chose to do the hot lap in. So I don't know. I don't know if it was the best choice. We'll soon find out, because it's going to be about, it's not hugely about tyre and fuel management here. There is plenty of wear and plenty of fuel to be had. But if you can make a couple of laps difference, that is going to count, especially here. This is the trickiest part of the racetrack. Actually, what we'll do, let's do it on board with Stormfly and that Super Silhouette, because I love the inside of this car. Very, very old school. So you come out of this bus stop chicane, you head towards the start-finish line, and the exit from that bus stop chicane is so key to a good lap here. So you get a good exit out of there, your next lap is always going to be a little bit better. So you cross the penalty line, you cross this start-finish line, then you're going to let the car just drift out to the right-hand side here, almost touching the wall before you hit the brakes and get it turned in, change down to second gear to get that rotation, then through turns 1 and 2 and back on the power again as you power through turns 3 and 4 and drift into this left-hand side on the brakes again. And he's started to close the gap now on rooms in front of him and get turned in. And you can really abuse the racetrack there, right over that white line. You can go with the car without getting the penalty, and then you can power all the way down. And this is a very, very tricky corner coming up here. You get it wrong, you are in the gravel. You want to early apex this, get on the power, and just be a little bit brave when you're coming out. Then you again drift to this right hand side. You're looking for those cones. That's where you're going to brake. Get it turned in, early apex again, and you can drift way, way, way out wide with when you get back on the power. So you can get on the power quite early out of that corner because you've got a lot of racetrack to play with. And this is where you want to get out of that turn with a bit of slipstream to really help you along. But it looks at the moment that the AMG out in front just has that little bit of impetus. Now this is a tricky part of the racetrack because this is key to your lap time. You want to get turned in, down into third gear, some cars in second, using all of those yellow strips. And the rule is that you're, as long as one wheel only is on those, and you haven't gone too far off them, essentially if you're touching them with the inside wheel, you're okay. Anything else and you're getting a penalty, and this is where you'd serve it. And I'll tell you what, it's a killer penalty when you serve it there. But there you go, that's a lap essentially around Daytona for these guys anyway. Look at the inside of that car, isn't that a beautiful thing? Love this car. The Lada Super Silhouette, of course. So it is Rooms leads the way. First race with Black Flag, and what a way to announce yourself to the team. Out in the lead here, lap 6 at Daytona in the AMG Mercedes. The gap down to just under a second now with Stormfly. Kalum and Fubar duke it out. They're both in the same car. So it's about driver ability here. It's about who's bravest, as Fubar chucks one up the inside. Does he make it stick? Absolutely he does. And Fubar up into third place. And good overtake there. Is he able now to pull away? And we look at Stormfly here, and again, just as they come out of here, how much time he loses to that AMG. So within a second coming into that corner, but the AMG just able to pull away out of the infield section, which is just giving him a bit of a gap and not giving up any slipstream. Gap to Fubar and Kalum, who's still battling it out in that Jaguar, is 2.9 seconds. So the battle for the top 3 already starting to drop off, and the battle for the top 2. 5.2 seconds back in the Swift is Wiggy, and he's not. That Swift just doesn't have super pace like the other cars. But there are 3 people in them at the moment. They are Wiggy, TJ, and Old Man Jay. The 3 of them running that Swift are running on the racetrack together. Wiggy 16 seconds clear of TJ, who's gone for a chrome monstrosity. That's not too bad actually. The liveries are not too bad, but I would have expected a little bit more work from him on logos, etc. He is 10.9 seconds clear of Old Man J. Old Man J has already binned the medium compound tyres, however, and moved on to the soft, so he can run. Essentially, it's going to be a 2-stop race for him, but it will be a 2-stop only on soft tyres, essentially, because he binned those mediums straight at the end of lap 1. Not entirely sure that the time gain is is that huge to justify it here because it's such a fast racetrack. The time you gain, having a little bit more grip through the corners, bearing in mind that it is mostly about straight line speed here at Daytona. I don't know if necessarily that's a viable strategy to bin 22, 23 seconds at the end of lap 1 in order to get rid of some medium tyres. But we'll see. We'll see where it all ends up. Old Man Joe running in 7th place at the moment, just ahead of, that's the wrong button, idiot. Just ahead of Black Mamba. He's gone for that BMW. Hasn't got any livery on there, but he did jump in lastminute.com, and hopefully he sticks around for a little while this time. Does seem to flit in and out of the Discord, but hopefully we'll. And there's a spin there to the back end completely goes in that BM. That BM doesn't like you getting on the power too early out of the corners, and he's lost the back end again. What is going on with that BMW as Grizz Troopers goes through into 8th place? 3.7 seconds, and that gap will open right up. So Black Mamba really not having a great day in that BM, and the rear wheel drive there just a little bit too eager on the power coming out there, and it might be worth just whacking on just one little bead of traction control. You don't have such, it's not as bad as GT Sport in the loss of power and that kind of thing with traction control on. Really isn't. And I think with these rear wheel drive cars, it's certainly worth putting it on just in case you have little wobbly moments like that where you're on the power a little bit too early and those rear wheels want to turn the car around. But we know Black Man, his lap time is 48.0 for him. Compared to our race leader, the gap is now down to just 7 tenths. So Stormfly now with a little bit of slipstream, and this is going to make for an interesting battle. Can he get the power in that Super Silhouette down and close on the back of that Mercedes-Benz? I think the Mercedes-Benz, in terms of straight line speed and acceleration, slightly edges that Super Silhouette. But it's all about getting the cornering right. And if these two Dutchmen are going to battle it out to the end, I am sure. And I think it's going to come down to... I think it's going to come down to a little bit of... who's the wiliest of the Dutchmen. And Rooms is representing Tidgeny Community Racing. And Stormfly with that slipstream makes the move up into turn 1, but around the outside in the AMG. Room's trying to come back at him. Was a little bit hot going in there, just didn't want to get on the brakes and let Stormfly go through. But a little bit wide, and Stormfly does take the lead here. But we've got Room's just tucked in behind him, and this is not over by any stretch of the imagination. He is absolutely still on this, and he's tucked in behind that Super Silhouette and looking for any way to get through, and really is closing up on the back of him. Is Stormfly going to be able to pull away, or is he just going to be swallowed up with the slipstream with the AMG in behind him? We'll have a look here as they come out. We just see the lights starting to fade away as the lights on the cars come on. We've still got a bit of a way to go. 15 minutes into this 3-hour race here. What I should have done was put the timer up on the screen somewhere else for you to see, but I didn't. Next time, maybe next time. So there is Rooms. He is half a second back from Stormfly in the slipstream. Doesn't look like he's super closing at the moment. Super Silhouette just getting the power down now as Stormfly getting into his rhythm in that car. This is lap number 9. Now, it's a 90-minute race. We are looking at somewhere around... It's not a 90-minute race, but we're talking about... It's a 90-lap race, there or thereabouts. Probably 95, 96 laps. I wonder if we can get to 100 laps. I wonder if we can. So it's a 3-hour race, so I don't think it's unrealistic to think we can get to 100 laps here. Do you? We'll see. But Rooms is still tucked in second place as they cross the line. Stormfly just holding him off, and loving the sparks coming out of the side of that Super Silhouette as he puts on the brakes into turn 1. Sorry about that, my daughter's got ear infection, so she was looking for her eardrops, couldn't find them. Ho hum, ho hum. So, top two, there they are, Arooms and Stormfly. They are starting to pull a gap from this battle here, Fubar and Kulum. Fubar has won out that battle, just opened up a bit of a gap for himself, and is 3.5 seconds back from the front two. 1.9 seconds clear now of Kulum. So not giving up any slipstream to him at the moment, but that could change very, very quickly. It only takes one little error. And I've just seen up ahead, this battle really cooking. As they went into that bus stop, Aroom's really tucked in quite nicely behind Stormfly there. Does he get a good run at him this time? Look at that, that's a great shot, that was. Great shot of them coming out. And it didn't look to me to get that good an exit compared to the Super Silhouette. So I don't think he's going to close up this time and make any difference. Kulum is 2 seconds back. He's got Wiggy. Wiggy's now closed that gap. It was 5 seconds between the Jaguar of Kulum and the Suzuki of Wiggy. That gap is now 3.7 seconds. TJ still 15, 16 seconds back in that same car. The light's already fading here, so it was a late afternoon here at Daytona start, so the light is fading away from us, and it's going to be an awesome night race coming up. And so there we go. So gap between TJ and Old Man J, 15 seconds. So the Swifts are separated by 15 seconds and 15 seconds, essentially. There is Old Man J running in 7th. Gap back to Grizz Troopers is 12.7 seconds. Old Man J and Grizz Troopers, as you may remember, went into the pits at the end of lap 1 and ditched the medium option tyre. So they only have to run the softs for the rest of this race. And we'll see just how that helps them as we go deeper into this race. There is Grizz Troopers. He's in the Corvette. 6.4 seconds. The gap back to Black Mamba, who went for the BMW here. And hasn't worked out for him so far. Look at that. Some of the shots here at Daytona are fantastic. Do particularly like that one. Wonder if we can keep that shot with if we go to Black Mamba. Look at that. That is phenomenal. You can see right up ahead. Look at that. Right up ahead, you can see the cars in the distance. That's a really cool camera angle. Praise to the cameraman there. Right, lap times. Let's have a look at lap times. Fastest lap is with Stormfly, 1:44.4. That's a qualifying lap time, that is. And we've got Arooms a lot closer this time in that slipstream as they come up to turn 1. Is he going to make a dive? He's not going to be able to. I love that. Every time he gets on the brakes there, changing down through the gears, the flames coming out the side of the of that Super Silhouette. But yeah, his fastest lap were 44.4. He did that on lap 6. We're now on lap 12. He's settled into a rhythm of sort of the kind of mid-45s. Good rhythm to have at this stage. Arooms with a very similar rhythm, similar lap times. So I think these two are going to battle it out all the way through. Dutchman on Dutchman. This is going to be the bragging rights of Holland today in this Mind Endurance event. 4.3 now, the gap back to Fubar. He's starting to open up a little bit of a gap on Kulum, who is in 4th. Remember, because we've only got 9 runners today, and the championship leader's not in this hit, it is really anybody's race. There is Avalon couldn't make it, he's got a bad back as well, so that counts him out of this championship. And of course, our resident alien Kevin77 did not enter. Which as soon as you see that, everyone's going, yes, stand a chance, I can win something. So Stormfly in the lead of Arooms, 4.7 seconds back to Fubar, who at the moment comfortably in 3rd. Kulum looking to find a way to find some pace to close him down. Fubar is lapping. I mean, to be fair, the difference between the guys out front and Fubar in terms of lap times is not that much difference. It's only a couple of tenths difference. So really anything can happen at this stage. Kulum just starting to do the low 46s, which is why that gap's starting to open up. Wiggy behind in the Swift. 3 seconds is the gap now. He is doing front 2 pace. mid 1:45s in the Swift. So his last lap was a 45.6. Stormfly did a 44.6. That was pretty damn quick. Lap before that was a 45.7. So Wiggy's fastest lap was a 45.4. Compared to Colum, who did, if that gets out of the way, 45.5. So he has got a similar pace, but the regular pace not matching. Although this could just be a strategy, I think. TJ, 45.4 for him compared to a 45.4 for, 45.464 for Wiggy and a 45.456 for TJ. But he had a really bad lap on lap 11. Look at that, 1:59.6. So clearly he went off the racetrack somewhere, because that gap is now 31 seconds. And as the So Crew sung, I've got 31 seconds to go. No, he didn't sing that. That's put him into the clutches, actually, the potential clutches of Old Man Jay in the other Swift VGT. He is just 2.3 behind TJ now. Can he possibly close up enough and steal that 6th place from TJ? 17 seconds back to Grizz Troopers. 47.3 is his fastest lap in that Corvette. And he is 17 seconds, or even a bit of no man's land there. 17 seconds ahead, 17 seconds behind. Black Mamba struggling in that BMW. Had a bad lap on lap 11, did a 1:59.1. Did him and TJ off in the same place, maybe. So he had a couple of bad laps. Lap 7 wasn't a great lap from lap 11. In terms of pace, I mean, it's not that dissimilar to the pace of Grizz Troopers. But Grizz just that little bit more consistent and keeping the car on the racetrack, and that is making the difference. And I've said it before that sometimes consistency is your friend. You know, if you might not be as quick as the guys out in front, but if you're a little bit off the pace, then the thing you need to aim for is consistency. And if you can do that, then you can gain yourself some race pace just by staying on the racetrack. And as you can see, Old Man Jay has shown some consistency. He's in the low 46s for the most part. You know, an anomaly with lap 8 wasn't a great lap for him there, but you can see TJ. So that's certainly a fight he's thinking of having as we just fade into darkness here at Daytona racetrack. Beautiful, beautiful sight of all the lights. So in the lead of this race, there he is, Stormfly, VR46. He's just opened up a little bit, 1.1 seconds now, just dropping a rooms out of that slipstream range to give himself a little bit of comfort out in the lead. It doesn't stay that way for very long though. As they come out of the bus stop, we see a rooms closing up, and I think we're going to find that this battle is going to rage on. Now, we are almost at we're about, what, 3, let's say 3 to 4 laps from the 30-minute mark here. And so I think it's going to be a 2-stopper, 3-stopper for Old Man Jay and for Grizz Troopers, because they both stopped on lap 1. Which will be about, I think, around the hour mark, there or thereabouts. Just having a look at how people are doing for fuel, I think Stormfly is probably the worse off. Being that it's an old car, it's going to burn more fuel. Everybody else seems to be in a position where they could probably stretch it. Now, if I'm looking at these Swifts, I think these Swifts might well be able to go to the halfway mark of this race, possibly to the halfway mark of this race, looking at how much fuel they've burned at this stage. I think we'll have another look in 20 minutes time, see, and I'll have a look and see what fuel they've got on board then. But at the moment it's looking like they could potentially one-stop this, and I know that you guys can't see it, but that's on purpose because I don't want you to. Grizz Troopers, he'll be stopping this race, so he'll be stopping around the 1 hour mark into this race, which will be somewhere around lap 32, 33 pit window. Mamba, however, Mamba's doing a very good job in that BMW of fuel conservation. Now, he's 16 seconds back from Grizz Troopers, granted. If he can start to find a bit of consistency and not lose time by going off the racetrack, and still maintain that level of fuel saving he's doing, I think we could have a little bit of a fight on for the tail enders here. So there's battles going on over the racetrack. Definitely battles going on over the racetrack. Out front, we've got Stormfly and Arooms. These two should just get a room together. They are pulling away, and there's a move from Arooms up into first place. That's a great move as they come into this tricky infield section. I'll tell you what, that was a very, very special overtake from him there. Gets him up back into the lead of this race. They have shared the lead now of the 16 laps. Pretty much, both of them have led half of them, I would say. Stormfly with very similar. I mean, there is a tenth in it. In terms of lap times, there is nothing in between to separate them. Very, very good race between these two. I think this is one that's going to rage on. And I'll tell you what, it wouldn't be bad if one of these was streaming their own race and we could see their individual broadcast of that battle. Fubar Philantis would desperately love to be involved in that fight out front. 4.4 seconds it rages ahead of him. I think, looking at the pace, unless something goes terribly, terribly wrong, I think we're going to find Fubar at the moment is looking quite good for a top three. I mean, obviously anything can happen. It's a long, long race. We've still got 2.5 hours to go before we're going to crown a winner here today. But if there is a problem out front, if Arooms and Stormfly have a little coming together, then Fubar is in a brilliant, brilliant position. He's 5 seconds back, but if they have a coming together and one goes one way, one goes the other, both take a little bit of damage, Fubar can sail through and build himself up a little cushion while they are getting themselves back into the rhythm. So that's something to potentially think about as well when they are battling. Kalum is sticking with him. He's not. The battle's not raging on as it was. They're not side by side, but Kalum has got him in his sights. He knows where he is, and he's not just going to let him pull away. He's maintaining that gap at between 1.5 and 2 seconds. So a bit of race management going on for Kalum. The concern is obviously you've got to be looking after your tyres a little bit. It can be very tyre intensive here at Daytona, particularly for such a long race. So you do have to be a little bit careful that you don't push too hard at the wrong stage. At the moment, everything looking pretty good, but you can quite easily. And the thing is with the soft tyres here, they're very grippy for some length of time, but then when they drop off at a rapid rate, and bang, they're gone. And around here, that can be very, very devastating because there's such high speed corners. You really need to have that grip underneath you. We thought Wiggy was closing the gap, but he had a bad lap. 6 seconds he lost. So he was closing the gap, but he lost 6 seconds on that last lap. It's cost himself some time. The gap's back out to 7.5 seconds. So all the hard work he did to close up, losing 6 seconds on that lap has cost him dearly. He's going to have to do that work all over again to try and close up on Kalum. Now, the gap between him and the leader is already at 16 seconds. Now, in terms of lap times, very, very similar to those guys out in front. Very similar. But first he's got to close on Kalum. Then he's got to pass him. Then he's got to close on Fubar. Then he's got to pass him. And then he's got to close on Stormfly and Arooms. And he's got to close that gap and then try and get past them. And I don't think it's going to be that easy to do. Look, there is 2.5 hours left to go with this race. 2.5 hours. So anything can happen in that time. But he's got his work cut out. But at the moment, the Swift is not looking as shabby as I thought it might be. I thought it might be a bit of a joke choice, but it seems to be pretty darn decent here. It is a good looking car as well. It's a very good looking car if you're a hairdresser. No, I'm only joking. If someone wants to give me a Suzuki Swift, I will gladly take it off their hands. TJ had a bad lap. A few laps ago, lap 11 I think it was, and he's now 27 seconds behind Wiggy. He's also in that Swift VGT. He's got old man Jay, and he's just done his fast lap of the race actually, TJ, with a 1:45.1, which is not too shabby at all. That's a very solid lap time. In fact, that's qualifying lap time. Excuse me. And the yawning will start. I was up all night with Wait for the Gas Man. I'm going to have a little snooze after this race before my next one. So Old Man Jay running in 6th place. 31 seconds is the gap between him and what happened to TJ. Old Man Jay's got round him and I didn't even see what happened. So TJ's clearly gone off somewhere. Old Man Jay's got through. It must have been when I was yawning that happened. Sorry about that. And so Old Man Jay, and great, someone's joined the room. And we know what sort of a problem that causes when people join and leave lobbies. You can kind of see the races going on. It's very clear that it's an endurance race. Why would you jump in? But, you know, it is what it is. So Old Man Jay now 32 seconds behind Wiggy. 1.7 here with TJ. TJ had a bit of a problem there. Now is TJ going to push too hard and make a mistake? Because that looks like what's happened so far. We'll see how much time he actually lost when he crosses the finish line here. Which will be very, very soon. They come around this oval. He's closing the gap already on Old Man Jay. And it's down to just over a second. So he's going to be getting a little bit of toe. Nothing significant. So he crossed the line at 1:52. So he lost about 4 or 5 seconds on that lap. Which allowed Old Man Jay not only to get ahead of him, but to have a little gap on him. He's going to have to try and close him back up. And there's no way Old Man Jay is just going to let him pass. So the question is, how long can he hold him up? Which is going to be his intention. But 23 seconds back, there is Grizz Troopers. And it's strange, because last time we looked, Grizz Troopers was 17 seconds back and 17 seconds ahead of Black Mamba. And now it's 23 seconds back and 23 seconds ahead of Black Mamba. So the difference between Old Man Jay, TJ and Grizz Troopers is the same as the difference between Grizz Troopers and Black Mamba in terms of lap time. But Black Mamba, look... I mean, that is some very, very solid laps there. 47.3, 47.5, 47.6, 47.6. All consecutive. But it looks like his issue has been just having 1 or 2 wobbly laps. And we can see there that he's had a 154, 159. And it's those laps actually that are costing him the time. Because we take, I mean, if he's doing an average of 47, mid-47, you know, that's 7 seconds difference between lap 16 and 17, and you know, 8 seconds difference between lap 10 and lap 11. That's a massive chunk of that 23 seconds. That's 15 of those 23 seconds right there, just in those 2 laps. So it would be a very different picture if the consistency was there. So I think that's something that's, you know, for the, as I said, you know, 30 minutes into a 3-hour race, there's plenty that can happen between now and the end. So from his perspective, it's all about trying to settle down now, cut the mistakes out. Don't look too much at that 23-second gap. I mean, yeah, obviously be mindful that the mistakes have cost you 23 seconds. So I'm just moving the electric heater a bit closer to me. With the heat not being on this house for so long, a chiller's kind of sips its way into the core of the house, and so I'm keeping it nice and hot. Yeah, so, you know, be mindful that you've lost that time and where you've lost time and how you've lost that time, and just try and cut that out of your race. And, you know, if you need to drop a 10th or 2 here or there just to get that consistency, then do it, because, you know, at this stage, anything can happen. But we also have to consider that he's doing very, very well on fuel. I can attest to that. Stormfly back in the lead of this race. These two have been sharing the lead throughout Stormfly in the rooms, and I've no doubt that we will see it change hands again at some stage, as darkness has now descended upon us here at Daytona. But you wouldn't really know it because it's a very, very well lit track. They have got their lights on though. So Stormfly 1.3 seconds ahead of Rooms. In terms of, see, here's the thing. Now, that Super Silhouette, very, very good on tyres. Not so great on the fuel. The opposite can be said though for that AMG. And I'm a little bit concerned, and I'm going to put it out there, I'm a little bit concerned that the tyres on the AMG are not going to hold out for another 25 minutes. Essentially, we need to hold out for another 15 or so laps. And I think that front left, which you know, the nature of this course means the front left is going to take an absolute battering at this racetrack, because that's where your grip is. That's where you need the biggest grip coming around this oval. But I'm a little bit concerned. The tyre may not, this soft tyre anyway, might not hold out to make this a two-stop race for Arooms. And if that's the case, then I think he's going to find that his battle is no longer with Stormfly, that his battle is going to be back here with Fubar. And I tell you what, Fubar is doing a fantastic job in there, because you know, the front three, the front two, they might be a little bit quicker than him, but not significantly so that they're pulling largely away. I mean, the gap's 6.5 seconds. He's still in there if something goes wrong. He's certainly going to be in there when the pit stops come. And he's doing very, very well. He's got, at the moment, he's got the balance between where the Stormfly's car, the Super Silhouette, is much better on tyres but not so great on the fuel, and Arooms is the other way around. Fubar's kind of got the balance in between the two. So that's going to really kind of bring him into that fight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. I really think, I mean, after Bathurst, he was a shoo-in for me, Fubar, for top three at Bathurst, and I think he was unlucky. You know, just... I hesitate to say he picked a bad strategy. He picked the strategy that he felt was right for him at the time. In hindsight, he could have stayed out and not worried about following Wiggy and TJ into the pits when he did. But, you know, what's done is done, and we move on. But I think he's a shoo-in for possibly a top two. If Arooms does struggle with getting this car, basically two-stopping this race, Fubar can, and I think that's going to cause Arooms problems if he can't. That could also bring Colum into the fight, because bear in mind that him and Fubar are in the same car, and he's in terms of tyres and fuel, very, very similar. Maybe a little less stress on the right-hand tyres of Colum, but nothing significant, nothing that's going to cause any significant problems. But again, it's going to be interesting to see, excuse me, how the Canadian fares here when it comes to Arun and his pit stops. Wiggy in the Swift VGT. Now, the question I asked was, can this car one-stop this race? Now, we know that Wiggy can, when he needs to, put in some decent, solid lap times while looking after fuel and tyres. It looks like there's some good pace in that Swift. It's certainly swifter than I thought it was going to be. Boy, I'm here all week, thank you very much. But I don't know. I mean, the lap times are similar to those out front, but he's got a significant gap to close, which will be easy to do if you can one-stop it. But at the moment, I'd say it's sort of touch and go as to whether he can. It would need to do some significant fuel saving at this stage, because we're not quite halfway into that. We're not quite at the 45-minute mark. He's already kind of past the point of no return, really. So possibly, I'll tell you what, possibly could be. It could be, instead of doing a sort of standard two-stopper at the hour mark, that you'd expect, it may well be that they stretch it out, these Swifts, a little bit longer into the race, try and gain a bit of track position when everybody else goes in, or when the others sort of pits, stay out a little bit longer, maybe have another long second stint, and then have a nice short, powerful, pedal to the metal, fast sprint towards the end, or maybe do that in the middle. That could possibly be a possible strategy for them. We'll wait and see, because there are a number of different strategies that can work here at Daytona, and I think it really depends on your pace and where you are on the racetrack. 35 seconds is to get back to TJ. Has got back around old man Jay. Hasn't crashed since his last one. That was lap 18. He had a bad lap. Did a 1:52.437 that lap, which allowed old man Jay just to get through. Gap back out to 3.2 seconds. Old man Jay has already pit. He pits at the end of lap 1, got rid of the medium compound tyres. He's happy that these soft tyres will give him the pace he needs and the longevity he needs, and he knows he can run them now for the rest of this race. Again, he's also past that kind of point of no return for one stopping here. Certainly without some significant fuel saving. I suppose it could be that they choose in the second stint to really heavily look after the fuel and run long. We don't know. We'll find out. Captain Grizz Troopers, that's opening up at 33 seconds now. Grizz has shown some quite good consistency, other than the last lap, which was a 55.4, which explains that 34 second. That jump from sort of the 23 seconds to 34 seconds. So bad lap from him. He's obviously been off the track somewhere. I was looking at the minimap then. It looked like someone was spinning, but they're not. Black Mamba at the back. He's been lapped by the front two. He's about to be lapped by Fubar here. Lap 24. We're at 42 minutes in. One more lap and we're at the 1/4 distance here at Daytona Raceway. And Colum looks to have closed the gap a little bit on Fubar. It looks closer on the racetrack than it actually is, to be fair. So there is Fubar tucked in behind the car of Black Mamba. Trying to find his way through. I'm going to refresh my coffee in a minute. I'm going to refresh my coffee and have a cigarette in a minute. In fact, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Wiggy running in 5th place. 6.3 seconds is that gap. And I think what we're going to do, I think before we get to the pit window, which I think is probably going to be, I think after sort of lap 32, 33 is when we're going to start seeing people pitting. Arooms, I'm telling you now, Arooms is not going to be able to stop this race. Absolutely not going to happen. Unless, of course, I think that really depends on the longevity you can get out of the medium compound tyre. Yes, could he stop this on the medium? So if he goes medium. So he's soft at the moment, but if he switches to medium and then stays on the medium for the second stint, he probably could. Fuel-wise, I don't think that Mercedes-Benz is struggling too much there. Tyre-wise, though, it is. So, does he have the pace on the medium tyre? That's the big question. Does he have the pace to keep up with Stormfly? At the moment, Stormfly just opened that gap out at 2.8 seconds he's opened it out to. And it could be that he's going real hammer time. He's 44.4 is his fastest lap. But he has settled into that kind of low 45s rhythm. Only broken once really on lap 22 with a 46.0. So very, very rhythm orientated at the moment. But just putting in the laps and opening up that gap. His last lap was a 145.4. Arooms did a 145.9. So half a second difference almost there. And if you keep chucking out those kinds of differences in your lap times, you will slowly, especially over a 3-hour race, a 90-lap race, you're going to see gaps coming up like that 3.4 seconds. But I think Stormfly is going to be in a position where he's going to struggle a little bit to two-stop this race fuel-wise. I think the tyres absolutely going to hold on. So the question between of the front two at the moment is 2-stop or 3-stop. For me, I think they're both going to 3-stop this race. I think that's the sensible solution, particularly if you want to run long stints on the soft tyres. I don't think you've got a choice. If you're pitting on the hour mark, you can 2-stop this race. They're going to need to pit before that, I think. And I think when we get to probably lap 27, lap 28, 20, so let's say 29, 30, is when I think we'll start to see these two pulling off to that left-hand side into the pits. So be back with you very, very shortly.
£40 could help Keep Minds a supportive online community side by side, open for another hour, helping to connect people and feel less alone. Mental problems affect 1 in 4 of us. Join Mind now in the fight for mental health.
Back with you. What did we miss? Let's have a look. Not very much by the looks of things. So where are we? Lap 30. It looks like Stormfly. I thought he would at this stage would be thinking about the pits, but it looks like he has for some reason managed to conserve a bit of fuel. The gap now 6.8 seconds. Aroom's really dropping off the pace, but that will be because of the state of his tyres. That front left tyre is not going to hold out. Yeah, Chris, I was away having a fag, mate. I'm back now. That's why you couldn't hear anything, but I am now back with you. How you feeling, buddy? How's the leg? Yeah, 5.4 seconds back to Fubar. So Fubar has closed the gap a little bit on Aroom's, whereas Stormfly's opened up a gap. 6.5 seconds he's opened up. And I tell you what, I thought these two guys were going to duke it out for the whole race. I thought it was going to be really close, but it looks to me, I apologise for that noise, that was me putting the electric heater closer to my legs. It looks to me that Stormfly is starting to really dominate here, and Fubar, Kalum, and maybe even Wiggy could be looking at a battle for the top three between them, while Stormfly disappears off into the distance. It is 5.9 seconds back to Fubar. He will most certainly be two-stop in this race, so I think that is going to be the key here. It's going to be the two-stop, three-stop difference. Kalum, he's in the same position as Fubar, same car. It's going to be the same kind of wear and tear, tyres and fuel. We've cut that gap to 2.5 seconds. 145.2 he's done in that Swift VGT, which is incredibly quick for a car I didn't expect to give any level of performance. But these guys have been testing cars between them. I knew it was going to be a surprise. I told me they were going to surprise me with their car choice today, and I'll tell you what, it is a bloody good surprise. Didn't expect that to happen anytime ever. But this is race number 3 of this Mine Endurance series, and Chris was joining us to watch, listen to the commentary. I think he's now disappeared. Hopefully he's feeling better. He is the current championship leader, but can't race the rest of the series, unfortunately. But hopefully he'll get better soon, and we'll see him winning. When we're going to have a regular endurance race coming up in 2023, 10 race endurance series, maybe 3 hours, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe even 4 hour endurance. We'll wait and see what we come up with, but all of our races will be on Sim League Pro. You can find us there. You can also find us on Discord, but yeah, find us on Sim League Pro and join our Discord from there. Yeah, so 45 seconds back to Old Man J. He's ahead of TJ again. TJ has pit early, very early actually, a lot earlier than I thought he would. So he hasn't gone to the hour mark, which means he might be 3-stopping. We know Old Man J will be 3-stopping because he already stopped. He stopped at the end of lap 1 to change out those medium tyres. So Room's into the pits. That will promote Fubar. Fubar will move up into second place here. And we'll see Kalum come through. He'll move up into third. Wiggy as well will come through. And Room's dropping down to 5th place. Old Man J is a minute behind almost. So doubt that he will take that 5th place. But the gap will be a lot smaller. He's got a half-second penalty there to serve. That will be coming out of the bus stop. That's the worst place. That's actually the place you pick up the most penalties here, is coming out of that bus stop. Unless, of course, you get caught by the bug in turn 1. And I don't know if anyone's ever you've ever done it, but if you go too wide in turn 1 and go flying out towards the very, very edge of the runoff area, it thinks you've cut an entire section of the racetrack out and gives you a 40-second time penalty. Now, bearing in mind that get back on the track is already going to cost you 10 to 15 seconds just by going out there anyway. So essentially, your lap time will double if you pick up that penalty. Hopefully no one does that here today. Old Man J is 24 seconds behind Aroom's after Aroom's comes out of the pits. He himself is 25 seconds behind Wiggy. He's going for the soft tyres. been a bit more sensible with the fuels. Didn't fill up to the top, so he knows the tyre limitations now. He knows how far he can stretch those tyres in comparison to the fuel. He will run. So that was lap 31 he came in. So lap 62 is his pit window. And the question is whether he can stretch it out. We're looking at sort of 95, between 95 and 100 laps here. Somewhere in that region. Now it's whether in that final stint on the medium tyres, if he can stretch it out that bit longer and make it a two-stop. The only problem he's going to have, of course, is if he's on the medium tyres at the end of this race for the final stint, there's going to be a lot of cars around him on soft compound tyres. But we'll see. But so Fubar into the pits just outside that hour mark. I have a feeling he probably could have done another couple of laps. I think lap 35, 36 would have been the better option. But we can work out exactly how many laps we're going to have when we hit that 1 hour mark and see where we're at. So that Rooms back up into 4th place. Fubar didn't really capitalise on a Rooms early pit stop. Personally, I think he should have stayed out for a few more laps and just made it count. So taking himself past that 1 hour mark and give himself a nice... well, to be fair, he might actually just stick on the medium tyres now and do a nice long run and still keep it as two-stop. But he has put on those medium tyres, so he's going to run nice and long in this middle stint. Old Man Joe, we know, doesn't have to run those medium tyres. He's on the softs. He's still got a good few laps left in him. I don't think we're going to see him pit until somewhere around lap 38, 39, 40. There or thereabouts. TJ is in 7th place. He pit very, very early. He pit lap 28. Lap 26 by the looks of things. So 26 he pitted. And I'll tell you what, I'm not entirely sure that when he pitting that early was the wisest of decisions. He is 20 seconds clear of Gridge Troopers, so not far off having an entire pit window to play with. But Gridge Troopers did the same thing as Jay. He got rid of those medium tyres early doors. So he has already, if you consider the fact that he has been in the pits, and that's, sorry mate, but you cannot park that there. That's not going to... So all the good work. I was about to praise him for taking some chunks out of TJ. Bearing in mind they both pit and the gap was less than a pit window between them. And then he went and did that. So that's cost him all of that extra time that he's earned. 26 seconds gap back to Black Mamba in that BMW. But he can run that BMW. That BMW is going on forever on those soft compound tyres. So he's not going to be coming in until somewhere around lap 40. So I would say look out for Black Mamba when you when we come into the final stint. Look, his pace isn't like it is out front, but the longer he can run into this race in stint number 1, and the shorter his final stint, although if you keep doing things like that, it's going to cost you, and that, of course. The longer you can run your first stint and second stint, and the lighter your car is, and the less you have to worry about your tyres in the final stint on soft tyres, if he indeed does that, it's really going to play into your hands towards the end of this race. So Stormfly does finally dive into the pits. He did hang it out there to that 1 hour mark. 34 laps we did. So that will put us at 68 for 2 hours in. So it'll put us around 102 laps around here. So we'll have a look. We'll have a look at the halfway point. So 51 laps. We'll have a look, and we'll see just how people are looking for tyres and fuel and pace and that kind of thing. And I think we'll get a good idea as to where people will be. So Colum, who's run much longer into the race than Fubar, remember they're in the same car. Fubar could have run his car this long. They were very, very similar in terms of fuel and tyres. So is it another case of strategy coming to bite him in the arse? It did. The strategy bit him in Bathurst a couple of weeks ago. Cost him 3rd place for me. I still insist it cost him 3rd place. And an early pit stop here, earlier than he needed to, Fubar. And Colum has jumped him. Colum in the lead now. He's 25 seconds clear. Now, Rooms has been in the pits. He is ahead of Stormfly. That's the key thing here, is he came out, he was about 6 seconds behind when he went into the pits. He's now 9 seconds clear of Stormflyer, who has been in. Now, Stormflyer on a different strategy, though. Stormflyer's gone for the medium compound tyres, so he will run a longer middle sector, or middle stint. But it's whether he can close that gap up enough to make it count. It looks to me that the strategies are differing in this way. So Rooms has gone for soft, soft, medium. Stormflyer's gone for soft, medium, soft. Now, I think Rooms is going to be in trouble, and I'm saying this purely arbitrarily. I could be completely wrong here, but if he's going to go in and do a long final stint on medium tyres, it leaves him very vulnerable to Stormfly, who'll be on soft tyres, to drivers like Wiggy, who's going to be on soft tyres, I imagine, Fubar as well, and for the looks of things here, Colum, who's just gone into the pits. Now, he's 25 seconds ahead when he went in. Well, I think we'll see a Rooms coming through now, and we do see him coming round. I don't know who that is getting lapped. So he is coming through. He's going to take the lead of this race, but it's not going to be for any length of time, I don't think, because he's going to have to pit sooner than pretty much everyone around him. So there is Stormfly. Stormfly comes through. Where is Colum? He's still in. He hasn't left the pitch yet, so he's filling up that car, that Jaguar. Wiggy is the next car back. Wiggy's been in. He's on the soft tyres. He's going to run. Is he going to run the mediums at the end of this race as well? I'm not sure that running the mediums in the final stint is the right strategy here, you know. Fubar just tucked in behind Wiggy there, and he's on the medium tyres, is Fubar. So if he can get past Wiggy at this stage of the race on the medium tyres, it puts him in a brilliant position in that Jaguar, because he will come out after stint 2 on soft tyres, potentially ahead of Wiggy, who's going to have to pit earlier anyway. So it could give Fubar a really good cushion to build on. I suppose the alternative is if Fubar could just tuck in behind Wiggy there while Wiggy's got the soft tyres on and Wiggy's going quickly, and use that slipstream to save fuel. But no, Fubar has decided what he wants to do is get ahead, and that Jaguar, just a straight line speed in that Jag, just outsmarting that VGT and just pulling it away. And Wiggy is tucked in though in that slipstream. It hasn't been all done and dusted yet. They come into the bus stop chicane. How do they get out of there? That's the question. Who gets the better exit? Wiggy tucked in lovely behind Fubar there. That's not what I wanted to do at all. That's the view from the back of from behind Fubar. Wiggy tucked in. Now, actually, this is the thing I suggested that I think Fubar should do, which is tuck in with the slipstream, is exactly what Wiggy's doing now. He can really look after his fuel and his tyres, just travelling behind that Jaguar. He doesn't need to make the overtake. He's going to pit sooner. He might not necessarily know that. I think he probably would have looked and see what tyres people put on when they went in the pits. I mean, who wouldn't? But he might not necessarily know that what Fubar's strategy is here. But he's got his own game plan. He knows what game plan he wants to play. And if he can stay stuck in there, then I think we could see a quite interesting end to this race. Old Man Jay finally goes in the pits. I think he is the last. No, it's still. So it is just Kaluma's now come out. So it's just Old Man Jay's got to as pit. It's just Black Mamba left to go in. And he is hanging that car out there some time on those soft tyres. And I tell you what, I actually started to think that he has got a bit of a clever strategy here. Now, look, his lap times are nowhere near those of sort of Fubar and Colum, or even sort of TJ. But if he's pitting less and he's got a much lighter car on soft tyres at the end of this race, they could be in trouble. And the other question is if he can hang this out for another, I know he's not, he's actually going in the pits now, but he probably could have done another couple of laps and hung it out there to sort of lap 40 possibly. The tyres just about would have held on, I think, but the rear tyre's struggling a little bit for that BMW, and we know that it struggles for rear grip. And that is Grizz Troopers just moving over to let Cullum through. Cullum up to 5th place at the moment. He is tucked in behind Wiggy, so Wiggy's already made up one place, and Wiggy's still sticking with Fubar there. Not making the overtake, but not letting him pull away. So is it what, as I thought, it's just playing the game here, just getting tucked in behind and just using that slipstream. Well, all change out front. I mean, it was 9 seconds after the pit window. It's now 14 seconds. Now, has Stormfly had a problem? Doesn't look like he's had that bad a problem. Slow outlap, really slow outlap actually. But he's on the medium compound tyres, so he will be running longer. But at the moment, 14 seconds of Rooms has opened up out in front in that AMG Mercedes. Now, obviously the benefit of having that sort of gap in that AMG is he's got great straight line speed. He will pick up a bit of slipstream from some of the back markers as he comes round, but it's still game on for me. He pit earlier than I thought he would, but I think he's planning on doing a long final stint on the medium tyres and making it just a 2-stop race. So those are 3 stopping, most definitely Old Man J, Grizz Troopers. We know that because they've already done 2 stops. They both ditched the medium compound tyre right away at the beginning to give themselves the best possible tyre only to use for this race, which is the soft compound. TJ pitted incredibly early after the first stint, and although he's 49 seconds clear of Old Man Jack at the minute, he's running in 6th in that Suzuki Swift. Now, lap times very similar to that of Cullum, similar to that of Wiggy. Wiggy just dropped off the pace a little bit since he's been there behind Fubar, but I'm wondering if that's more about his strategy, to be fair. So TJ's pace actually is quicker than that of Wiggy, than that of Fubar, and quicker than Stormfly at the moment. It's more akin to Stormfly's early pace and a Room's pace. The Room with a 44.7 as his fastest lap. Low 45s he's chucking out a minute, so his hammer time is right now. He's opening up as much of a gap as he can in that Tisney Community Racing liveried AMG, just coming up behind Old Man J. Now, Old Man J is no slouch today. He's been in the sort of low 147s, particularly when he was fuel saving towards the end of his stint. Mid 46, low 47s. But that just goes to show how much pace you can get when you're running out front here, and particularly over long periods of time. This racetrack did replace. We did plan to do. I think Monza was the original decision choice. I think it was. But we've done this racetrack instead. You might be wondering why this is race number 3 and not race number 4. It's race number 3 because Spa picked up it didn't pick up a bug like it caught cold, but when they brought out the 25th anniversary update, it put a bug on Spa and gave us a pit bug. So essentially, the problems we have at Goodwood, which is when you go into the pits and you don't see the car again until it pits for a second time, which is all well and good if you're on a 9, 10, 15, 20 lap race. But when you're on a kind of 90 lap, 3-hour racing marathon and people aren't pitting for 30 odd laps, it makes for pretty shit viewing. And it gives you no indication as to where others are on the racetrack. But we're just over the hour mark now, 1 hour 10 minutes. We've got nearly 2 hours left of this race here at Daytona. And why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this for the Shouting Mind. 1 in 15 people will attempt to commit suicide in their lifetime, and we'd like to change that. And this is what we are doing to try and raise some money. We have raised a fabulous £452.11. Really, really good sum of money. But keep it coming. If we can reach that magic 500, I'll be well chuffed. Genuinely, I was thinking get kind of £100, that'll be awesome. But the community's been great and just been chucking money at us, left, right, and centre. So that is very, very cool. Yeah, so this is why we're doing it.
Mental health problems affect 1 in 4 of us. Join Mind now in the fight for mental health.
Yeah, so in the immortal words of Bob Geldof, get your fucking money. So yes, Old Man J running in 7th place, just being lapped again by Rooms. What's the gap now? 25 seconds. And Stormfly's had another problem in those medium tyres. 1:55.7. So clearly, those medium tyres are not giving him anywhere near the performance he was getting out of the soft tyres. And really, really struggling. And his only hope now is going to be that Rooms has very similar struggles when it comes to it. And at the moment now, we have got Rooms 25 seconds clear. We've got Stormfly with Fubar right up behind him. A big wobble there from the back end of that super silhouette. And I'll tell you what, he's going to be a little bit squeaky bum with the Jaguar Fubar, who's looking to make moves on him. Tucked in behind. So we've got Fubar there, we've got Wiggy there, and that is the view from the... look at that beautiful looking car. That is a view from the back of Stormfly's car. And he's just at the moment staying ahead of Wiggy and Fubar. But for how long can he hold out? That's the view we want. Let's ride on board with Wiggy, actually. And we can just see how this battle... but it's cold in that car now. Oh, great exit for Wiggy out of the bus stop. Sweeps past Fubar and straight off after Stormfly's in the slipstream of that super silhouette. What can he get in terms of pace into turn 1? Can he get close enough to make a move? It doesn't look like he's close enough there. Fubar will be tucked in just behind. There he is. What an exit out of the bus stop Wiggy got there to go steaming past Fubar. So it was clear that he did have a little bit more pace available to him. And the inside of this car just looks brilliant, doesn't it? Can't really have a look around it, which is a bit of a shame. So there he is now, closing down on Stormfly, and Colum's still in that battle as well. If we look there, that's the battle ahead, currently for second in this race. Stormfly, Wiggy, Fubar and Colum all in this fight for second. Now Colum going quite long again in this stint. Fubar ahead of him. He's on the medium tyres. He's not going to do a super long stint on this. He didn't put on a big ton of fuel, but he did pit earlier than you would expected him to have done. So the one worry for me is that he might have to pit for a third time. Wiggy, we know, he's got some pace now. Look at this, he's right up behind Stormfly, almost bump drafting him. He can't get through. Just giving him that bump draft, and this is where he's going to make the move. He's going to stay in behind, go into the bus stop. Is he going to get a similar slingshot out of here like he did on Fubar on the last lap? And Stormfly just so much quicker through there. And he does get a good exit, but how good is the exit? Already closing that gap down. It's going to be under half a second. And there's a penalty there for Stormfly. That will allow Wiggy just to charge up into second place here. Now remember, Wiggy did not qualify. He was in 9th place at the start of this race, and he has put in that Swift VGT into not only the top 3, but second on the racetrack. But at the moment, that battle has just allowed Rooms to open up the gap to 27 seconds in the lead. Most of the first stint, the lead was being shared between him and Stormfly, and they were 6, 7, 8, 9 seconds clear of everybody else, and with just half a second between them. Then Stormfly just opened up a bit of a gap, got it out to sort of 2 or 3 seconds, got it out as far as 6 seconds, and then the pit windows opened. Stormfly goes in, Rooms goes in first, And Stormfly hangs out for a little bit longer. Next thing you know, Stormfly comes in and he's behind Arooms, 9 seconds back. Couple of bad laps from him, and all of a sudden, Arooms is 27 seconds clear. And what a way to announce yourself to a new racing team. On the day you do your first race with them, you are 27 seconds clear. Just over an hour into this 3-hour race, but it is a 3-hour race. There is still more pit stops to come. Anything can happen, and the pace is very, very similar. And bear in mind also, Rooms still has to play the medium compound tyres. He's only run the soft so far. Wiggy does have to run the mediums. Stormfly is on the mediums now. He's only got to run more softs now. Fubar also on the medium tyres, and he's up into 4th place. Do you know what? I'm gonna lay my hat on this. I think Fubar is a shoo-in for a top 3 today. I really do. I think if he gets his strategy right in this middle sector, if he can hang this car out long enough in the middle sector and give himself one run till the end on soft tyres, I think Fubar can make top 3 here. He's been banging on the door of the top 3 in this Endurance Championship, and banging on the door of the top 3 in the GR4. So it's about time. He deserves a podium. Absolutely deserves a podium. And we are at Daytona, the Daytona Road Course, of course. It is emulating 24 hours of Daytona. It's a 3-hour endurance race in support of the charity Mind. We've already raised 450 quid. We want another 50 quid out of you guys to get to our target of 500. This is race number 3 of this 5-race series. Race 1 was in the Group 1 cars around Le Mans. That was won by Yellow Sausages quite significantly. TJ coming in second there, even after having some technical difficulties early on in the race. Then we moved on to 24 Hours of Bathurst, the iconic Australian street circuit. And again, Yellow Sausages brings in the big win there. Then, unfortunately, Yellow Sausages into hospital, cannot race the rest of this season, which just, and let's be fair, the championship table, we've got 4 people sitting on 30 points, currently tied for 2nd place. So all really still to race, 40 points, all still to race for them, and that's Stormfly, Wiggy, all involved there. And we move on, we're here at Daytona. Then a couple of weeks time, because obviously it's Christmas next week. I don't know if we're racing next week. I'll find out. I think we probably are, because it's kind of in between. Oh no, it'll be Christmas Eve when it's. I doubt we will be. So it'll be the week after we'll be racing, and we will be at Nordschleife. Unless of course Spa. I would like Nordschleife to be the last race, because I think that's the complicated one. But if Spa is fixed, we will be racing at Spa next time out. That will be in the Group 2 cars. And then the final race of this series is at the Green Hell. Well, not just the Green Hell, it's the full 24-hour Nordschleife track for 24 hours of the Nürburgring. And that will be in the Group 1 cars. Really looking forward to that. That will be at the beginning of January, of course. And then we'll start our 10 race endurance series. All of our races can be found through our partners, the Sim League Pro. Check them out, simleaguepro.com, and for all your race management needs. They can really help you out with that. So there is your current race leader in the Mercedes AMG GT3. Phenomenal motor car, that. 28 seconds almost is the gap back to Wiggy, who has robbed Stormfly of 2nd place in this race. He does still need to run the medium tyres. It might be difficult to stay in there on the mediums once Stormfly gets that Super Silhouette back on some soft compound tyres. He's struggling a little bit with that car on the mediums. 1.8 seconds the gap currently. You're doing a great job just keeping that car out there in 2nd place. Stormfly, early leader, was on pole, got swallowed up actually from the line. And was briefly back in 4th place, swallowed up by Fubar and Arooms and Kulum. But that all changed, and him and Arooms moved up into the lead and just had their own battle between themselves. But since the pit stop, he's not found the same rhythm. He's starting to get that pace back again, but he's had a couple of bad laps, which have cost him significant time. and he's now 1.5 seconds back in third place. Fubar running very comfortably just outside that top three. Initially had some good battles with Kaluma. They're both in the same car. That's not necessarily over. Kaluma is only 1.1 seconds back, but Fubar on those medium compound tyres. So he only, once he get these out of the way, if he can stay ahead of Kaluma, that's the key. Kaluma on the soft compound will still need to run the mediums. If he can stay ahead of him at this stage, and right up into the next pit window, then he puts himself in a very unique position in that battle, in that he'll have these softer compound tyres. But what he really needs to do is he needs to have a long stint here on these mediums. And it looks to me that he is going, he's going to have to take it past the 2 hour mark. And at the moment, with the way he's burning through the fuel, I'm a bit concerned he might not make that 2 hour window. And if that's the case, he could be having to 3-stop this. I think that will cost him third place in this race if he does have to do that. There is Kaluma from Canada in the other Jaguar. I do like that livery, yellow and blue livery, very nice, very keeping with the Mind logo, of course. Very similar lap times, of course. The top 5 all chucking out very similar lap times. Half a second behind Fubar, so looking to try and capitalise on having the soft compound tyres at this stage and make a move on Fubar. And that's what he needs to, in order to make those soft tyres work in this thing. That's what he needs to do. He needs to get ahead of Fubar and make a bit of a gap. But it's getting past him is going to be difficult. The cars perform very similar. It's just about tyres and ability at this stage. So it's whether he can get past him and how long it's going to take. And also how much it takes out of his tyres and his fuel trying to make that overtake. 31 seconds back to the Swift VGT driven by TJ from the Netherlands. And he didn't have a great start. I mean, in terms of lap times, he's chucking in low 45s on a regular basis. So not too slow, but consistency has not been his friend, and he's had a couple of bad laps where he's chucked in dropped 6 or 7 seconds on a lap, and that is what's cost him at the moment in this race. He's certainly got the pace. Now, bear in mind that he has been a shoo-in for sort of top 3 in this championship up until now. Currently running in 6th place, so quite a lot of work for him to do still if he wants to carry on that charge in trying to win this championship, or at least have a shot. Obviously, with Yellow Sausages being out for the rest of this series, it really does open up opportunities for everyone just behind to jump into that seat, really. Old Man Jay, 51 seconds back. Very different strategy for him and for Grizz Troopers. They got rid of the medium combat tyres after just 1 lap. I'm still not entirely sure. Look, I think a great strategy at Le Mans, without question. And I don't think it was a bad strategy either at Bathurst to do that. I mean, it worked out very well for Old Man Jay actually at Bathurst to do that. I'm not entirely sure that it was the right idea here. It's quite a long pit stop here at Daytona, surprisingly, for how quick the racetrack is. But I don't know. It seems that the pace on the medium tyres isn't that bad. But we'll see. We'll see if it does play out, or how it does play out later on. I think the problem Old Man Jay's going to have purely is the pace in front of him. They're chucking out, all those 6 cars ahead of him are chucking out low to mid 45s. He is in the high 45s to low 46s and 47s. So not really getting the same pace as those ahead. He is, however, an entire pit stop clear of Grizz Troopers in the Corvette. The American driver gone for the American muscle on this American racetrack. And he's going to run... he did the same thing. He got rid of the medium tyres nice and early after just 1 lap. So we'll be running to the end of this race after his next pit stop on soft tyres. The gap back to a Black Mamba is 26 seconds. Now, Black Mamba had that BMW out on track longer than anybody else. He had some problems early on with consistency with keeping the car on the racetrack. However, he was also able to keep it out there much longer. Tyres and fuel. It's much better on tyres and fuel. Yes, look, I appreciate he's not doing the kind of pace the cars out front, so won't be taking as much out of the tyres and fuel. But, you know, in terms of lap times compared to Chris Troopers, for instance, he's there or thereabouts, and for the most part, they're pretty much lap for lap. Old Man Jay, Gris Troopers, and Black Mamba are pretty much lap for lap putting in the same kind of times. So I wouldn't count him out just yet. Yes, he might be 26 seconds back at this stage, but we're only coming up to the halfway point of this 3-hour race here. And the BMW just is so much better than every other car out there on tyres and fuel here at Daytona. There is your leader, Tishney Community Racing's very own Rooms. It could be a Rumez, I suppose. I'll go for the Rooms. He's the Dutch driver. He's in the AMG GT3. Of course, used famously as the F1 safety car until last year when the Aston Martins came in. Beautiful race car, really cool, really quick as well. And at the moment, leading this race by 27 seconds. Now, he will be pitting again somewhere around lap 62. So that's what 10 laps, I think, on those tyres. And he will have to switch out to the medium compound. The question is going to be whether he makes that last to the end. Can he, on those medium tyres, take the car to the end? And what sort of pace is he going to be on the medium tyres? The one thing, my one criticism of this AMG is it can be a bit sluggish in the corners. And it can be a bit, you know, it's a heavy car. It can be difficult to get it turned. And when you're struggling for grip with the medium tyres, is that going to give it big time losses? We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. It's not over and done and dusted yet. I don't think he could be looking at 27 seconds and thinking, I've got this in the bag. Certainly not at this halfway point of the race anyway. But it's always good to have the lead because then it's in your hands. Wiggy made a great move past Stormfly, capitalised on Stormfly's mistake and got himself up into second place. He was running in 9th. Started from the back of the grid, didn't have time to set qualifying. Was out at... I'm assuming it was a carol concert of some sort. God bless ye merry gentlemen and all that kind of stuff. 3.9 seconds he's now ahead of Stormfly. Made a great move on him. It helped by Stormfly picking up a half-second penalty. But right now he's 3.9 seconds ahead. 27 seconds behind the Room. Not closing the gap. But setting into a nice little rhythm. Now Rooms will pit before him. It's not quite enough of an entire pit stop difference at the moment. I think 30. I think it depends how much fuel you put on your board. It's only 3 litres a second refill. And at 100 litres, that's quite a slow pit stop. So let's assume if you're going it's 3 litres a second, and you are refilling to 100 litres. I can't bother to do math. It's a lot. It's a lot of seconds. It's going to be somewhere around 30 seconds, isn't it, for a refill? Yeah, I think you're looking at about 30 seconds for refill, plus your tyres, plus your pit entry and exit. You know, it's not far off, and probably 45 to 50 seconds for a pit stop here. If you're filling your tank to full, of course. Running in third in the Super Silhouette. This is the best car out there. Don't care what anyone says. It might not be necessarily the best looking, but it is a really... No, you know what it is? It's a really cool looking car. It's a good throwback to the GT cars of the 1990s. That Super Silhouette Nissan. 4.8 seconds. He's on the medium tyres though. He's going to run relatively long. He's still got another half hour on this stint easily, I think. Stormfly, maybe a little bit longer than that, before he comes in and then goes for the final stint on soft compound tyres. But it is a 2-stopper for him, and it will be soft tyres to the end, so don't count him out just yet. There's still a lot of racing left in this for Stormfly. And Klum he's got himself past Fubar. He needed to do that. He's on the soft compound tires. He's on different strategies. He's been running the mediums at the end of this race, and Fubar behind him is going to be running the softs. So his job at the moment is going to be to try and close that gap, that 1.5 second gap to Stormfly. If he can get himself ahead of Stormfly and try and close up a little bit on Wiggy as well, that will put him in a better position after the second round of pit stops, when we'll see Fubar coming out on soft compounds. It's 1.6 seconds is the gap. Fubar won't be too concerned at this stage, I would have thought. He'll know this guy's running the softs by the pace. They're in the same car, so... well, not the same car, because they'd be sitting side by side, wouldn't they? But the same kind of car. And if we look at Cullen's fastest lap, it was off 1:44.8, only 4/10. So this is the difference, right? So we look at Rooms. He's done a 44.7, right? He is nearly 30 seconds clear of Wiggy. Wiggy's done a 44.8, running in second place. Stormfly did a 44.4. He's currently running in third. Cullen with a 44.8. He's running in fourth. Fubar, I don't know what his fastest lap was. He did a 44 something, running in fifth. TJ's done a 45.0. So everyone in the top five has gone sub 145 at one stage or another in this race. In terms of average pace between them, it is those on the soft tyres are doing the mid to low, anywhere between like low to high, let's say between low to high 45s. So there's about 6 to 8 tenths difference between them. But the difference of where they are on the racetrack is purely down to consistency. So Arooms has been incredibly consistent, and that is why he's now 30 seconds clear. Wiggy, very consistent from 9th, made his way all the way forward. And so if you consider that he was probably 30 odd seconds back from Arooms, just off the line, he's made really, really good inroads into that. TJ, couple of errors for him, although he has settled into a much more consistent rhythm now in that VGT Swift, and chucking in consistent 45s. But he's nearly 30 seconds behind Fubar. So some work for him to do. Oh man, Jay, what? He's going slowly. What happened there? Did he have a problem? It looks like he had a big problem, because he was going very, very slowly there. And yes, he's had a little crash in those in that Suzuki Swift. Now he is 1 minute behind TJ, and he's about to be lapped by Wiggy, who's running in second place. Now, was that an issue with Arooms lapping him, I wonder? Was there a little bit of fisticuffs during as he was being lapped, or did he get his line wrong coming through? We talk about this quite a lot, but blue flags is one thing. Give way to faster cars, yes, but it's got to be done in a sensible way. On this racetrack, there are plenty of long straight bits in order to pull over and let the faster car through. Whereas if you in the infield, it's very difficult to not compromise your own race. You've got to bear in mind that he's in his own races. He might be a minute behind TJ and 35 seconds ahead of Grizz Troopers, but he is running his own race here, and he should, a backmarker, whether when they're being lapped, shouldn't have to compromise their own race specifically just to let a faster car through. The faster car should be planning it. They know you have the mini map, you have the radar, you are aware of where other cars are on the racetrack, and as the faster car, there is a little bit of responsibility on you to sort of plan when you're going to make that overtake and how you're going to make that overtake. That's the key thing, is think about how and when you're going to make it. Yeah, of course, you have to be aware there's a car coming behind you and be thinking about how you're going to let them through, but it goes both ways. And I know we've seen some instances, particularly in Race on Sunday, where we saw incredibly fast cars out in front lapping people, but rather than picking a point to go through, just barging their way through and running people off the racetrack, which to me is just a shitty thing to do. But there we go. So we are on lap 53 here. We've passed the halfway point, and we see 102, between 102 and 104, 103 laps maybe. We'll have here at Daytona proper endurance shizzle, that is. Proper endurance shizzle. And so we look back behind our man Jay, there we've got Grizz Troopers in that Corvette. He very similar strategy. Jay got rid of those medium tyres early doors. 36.1 seconds is the gap. He is 21 seconds clear of Black Mamba. But I think Black Mamba has got a little trick up his sleeve in terms of strategy. And I think that 21 seconds is going to be a bit smaller come the last sort of half hour, 20 minutes of this race. I think there is going to be a race on here. Just because Black Mamba's very, very good at looking after his tyres. He's only stopped once, remember? Grizz Troopers has stopped twice. So we'll see what happens here. Because I think there's... now he's found his consistency. I think that was the problem. He did struggle with consistency early on. And he had a few issues, which cost him quite a bit of time. But if you now look at it, very consistently in those mid to low 47s. Grizz Troopers... flips kind of between 46 and 47, but I think Black Mamba's still in this. I really do. But there's your leader. The gap is still just under 30 seconds, and he's still chucking the laps on him. He's going to be pitting though, somewhere around, I think, lap 60. I think is probably going to be his pit window. Looking at those tyres, looking at the fuel, and how hard he's pushing. So I think that's where we would expect to see him coming in. It's not quite a full pit stop clear, and the other problem is whether he can make it to the end of the race, pitting with it. Essentially, he would have pitted after 30 laps. So is he going to be doing a 3-stopper here? Which is why he's absolutely melting it out front. He's hoping that he can build up a big enough gap to make a 3-stop work. Maybe that's what he has to do, but he does still have to run those medium compound tyres. So it's whether he does that for one lap or a decent long stint remains to be seen. Wiggy looking pretty good in second right now, ignoring the fact he's 30 seconds off the back of Arun. But there are different strategies, starting at very different parts of the racetrack. Things will come together as the race develops. He is 3.1 seconds ahead of Stormfly. He found a way through when Stormfly made a series of errors on the medium compound tyres. He does still know how to really run the mediums himself, of course, but doing a very, very good job in that Swift VGT, which he has managed to get from 9th up to 2nd in half the race, essentially. We are past the halfway point here at Daytona. This is a 3-hour endurance race in a 5-race series. It's race number 3 in a 5-race series. It was Le Mans, then we're at Bathurst, now we're at Daytona. We move on next. The next race will be at either Spa or Nordschleife, depending on where they fixed Spa. And then obviously the last race will be at the other one of those. Ideally, we'd like to do Spa first and then Nordschleife. I think Nordschleife is it should be a shoo-in for the season finale. We'll leave the racing with you. I'll be back very, very soon. Give me a sec. Sorry, I had to leave you for a bit there. My daughter was having problems with her Switch and couldn't log into it. That is now fixed. Don't know why someone else couldn't have done it. There's enough people in this bloody house. There we go. So, where are we? What did we miss? Nothing much really. So, Rooms still 27 seconds. It's come down a little bit. It was out towards the 29-second mark. Still running very consistent laps in those mid to high 45s. Did have a bit of a bad lap 56 to 46.5. But you're still running well there. Wiggy's still in second. He's opened up the gap from Stormflyer to 5.8 seconds. And he's running well. He's another 15 minutes on these tyres. He's going to run a final stint on the medium tyres till the end of this race. Stormfly is just coming around old man Jay to lap him. He was the leader of this race and was at one stage 6 seconds clear. Just 6 seconds clear at the beginning of this race. Sorry, bear with me. Sorry. It's appropriate this is about mental health when your daughter's doing your head in, isn't it? So there we go. So 5.7 seconds he is behind Wiggy right now. He was 6 seconds clear, Stormfly, at one stage. But after the pit window, Rooms went in early while Stormfly was 6 seconds clear. But by the time they both came out, Stormfly was 9 seconds back. The only saving grace in that super silhouette is that he's going to be on soft compound tyres for the final stint of this race, and I think it's going to change the shape of this race. 6 seconds back, Fubar has got himself past Coulomb yet again. Coulomb on the soft tyres, Fubar on the medium tyres. They're both in that Jaguar, and I tell you what, Fubar, I still think Fubar is really, really close, really knocking on the door of a top 3 here. 5 seconds back, can run quite long into this second stint. Maybe as far, dare I say it, essentially once you've got past lap 70, it's one tank of fuel, one set of tyres to the end of this race. I actually think he can go probably another easily lap 70. No, I think he can last a little bit longer. I think he's going to stay out longer than Stormfly, possibly longer than Wiggy, certainly longer than Arun's. Arun's will be coming in this lap, or if not this lap, then certainly lap 60. I said lap 62, didn't I? I'm getting good at this guesstimating rubbish. I should do it for a living. The gap's coming down a little bit. It's just losing a bit of time. Wiggy's starting to up the pace as Arun's just dropping off a touch as his fuel drops down and those tyres drop down. But he's going to need the big question is going to be, can the medium tyres take Rooms to the end of the race? He's going to have to do an hour and 10 minutes on those tyres. It's somewhere around 34 laps, would it be say? Something like that. 38 laps, something like that. Because we're what, 100, it's 102 laps. This race will be 102, 103 laps. He will need to do 40 laps, essentially. If he comes in here, he'll need to do 40 laps on the medium tyres. I'm not entirely sure, particularly if he's got to go at pace and he's got to hold these guys off. And looking at how the tyre wear seems to be so much higher on this AMG than it is on the other cars, I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. Now that's the question. Only he will know. You know, he will know what the car's capable of in terms of stretching those tyres out. Now, will he do one more lap after this? He may well do. He's not peeling off this time, so he's going to do one more lap. He's going to go end of lap 62. He's going to come into the pits. He's going to put on the medium tyres to run to the end of this race. If he intends to run, and then he's got to try and essentially make it to the end, and that'll be 40 laps on the medium tyres to the end of the race. And we're just starting to see the sun rising as we move into the morning here of this 24-hour Daytona race. Wiggy will take the lead when Arooms goes into the pits. Just how much of a gap he'll get, not sure yet. He also needs to run a set of medium compound tyres. But bearing in mind that he can go deeper into the race than Arooms can. He's in a better position on the medium tyres than Arooms will be. That's something definitely he needs to consider. But he would have planned this out. We know these guys run simulations and they know what they're looking for and what they're planning to do. nearly 6 seconds back to Stormfly in the Super Silhouette. Beautiful car in the night time, beautiful car again in the daytime with Lada plastered across the front. Anyone, I don't know how many people remember the Lada. It used to be a very, very shitty Czechoslovakian car. It was fucking awful, but cheap. It was one of those cars that were brought to market very cheaply, and people could buy it very cheaply. Kind of like the Kia when that first came out, which is, nothing brand's changed a little bit nowadays. Pretty sure the Kia was so bad when it came out, they used to put Blaupunkt stereos in them to make them more appealing. It certainly did in the UK anyway. Stormfly is 6 seconds clear of Fubar. He is, that's his pit window. He's going to need to do about 5 or 6 more laps on those medium tyres. I mean, the tyres. I'm not concerned about the tyres holding out. The tyres clearly can do the 40 laps as Arooms goes into the pits. So we know the tyres can do it. What we don't know is whether the fuel can last out for him. So he's in the pits. So we see Wiggy through. We see Stormfly through. What about Fubar? It looks like Fubar's going to get through as well in third place. So Fubar up into the top 3. The question is whether he can finish in the top 3. It's touch and go at the moment, but he's going to run longer than, certainly longer than Stormfly, who's ahead of him on the medium tyres. Fubar also on the medium tyres, so he can run the rest of this race on the softs. He's opened up a nice big gap to Colum, 9.8 seconds. So Colum, it looks like he's had a problem this lap because he was a very similar pace. But he's ahead of Arooms. So Arooms now got to make up that 1.2 seconds on Colum and get past him before he can start the charge after that top 3. Now, this is where Colum could really play into the race for everybody else. And I'm assuming Arooms he has come out on those medium tyres. So he is planning to go to the end on these tyres. It's whether the fuel lasts out for him. As we see the daylight returning to the Daytona Road Raceway here in the United States of America. And Arooms was the leader for all of his second stint. He led this race, getting out the gap to 29 seconds at one stage. Now back in 5th, he's dropped a few seconds to Colum. Now remember, Colum's on the soft tyres. Arooms is on the medium compound tyre. In terms of grip, you are going to lose a little bit of grip, particularly coming out of the bus stop and through that infield section. But they will last you much, much longer. You haven't got to worry about wear so much. The big issue in this long third stint in the AMG is going to be whether the fuel holds out while still going at pace. Now, if he does get ahead when they pit of Fubar, Stormfly and Wiggy, Wiggy will also be on the medium tyres, so not so much of a danger there. But Stormfly and Fubar are both going to be on soft compound tyres to the end of this race, and that could prove to be the nail in the coffin for Arooms, particularly if that nearly 30-second lead that he had is eroded through this pit window. 1 minute back, we've got TJ in the other Swift VGT. Didn't have a great start and a few issues during his first stint. Started to show some relatively reasonable pace in that midfield there. He is 48 seconds ahead of Old Man Jay, but that gap was at over a minute. So Old Man Jay really closed that gap down. And he will need to pit again, but he won't need to. It'll be a splash and dash kind of scenario, because he can certainly go another good sort of 10, maybe 15 laps into this race. Certainly well into the last hour without too much of a super long pit stop, because he ditched those medium tyres at the end of lap 1. He was no interest in sticking around with those tyres. Grizz Troopers 31 seconds is the gap. It's kind of maintained around that, actually. Him and Old Man Jay doing very similar lap times. And I think it was just a couple of issues that he's had. I mean, Old Man Jay's had certainly one at that turn level, just seen Grizz Troopers come out of. But we saw Grizz going off the track as well, which has cost him some time. They're going to pit very... Actually, I think Grizz Troopers will be pitting first. So that'll be actually key. Will there be... a big deficit with an undercut? We saw what happened with the undercut before. Rooms went in 6 seconds behind Stormfly, came out 9 seconds clear by the time Stormfly pit. So we know there is strength in the undercut here. 19 seconds back to Black Mamba. He's closed that down a little bit. He's on the soft tyres. Again, he's going to run quite long into the second stint. Probably longer than most, I think. I think Old Man Jay is probably the only one. But bear in mind, Old Man Jay, this will be his third stop, not his second. And Grizz Troopers the same as well. So Wiggy in the lead of this race. 5 seconds is the gap. And maintaining that 5 seconds. And very steady pace for him at the moment. He's going to do another 5 or 6 laps before we'll see him coming in. And then he will finish this race on the medium compound tyre. Stormfly running the mediums now. He will probably jump in. End of lap. I'm going to say lap 66. He's got another lap at full pace on those medium tyres. I mean, and if you look, I mean, his fastest lap is a 1:44.4. That's on soft tyres. He's done a 1:45.8. Just did a 1:40. He's done a 1:45.5. So only a second slower on the medium compounds, which is why I'm not entirely sure that ditching them, that taking an extra pit stop just to ditch those tyres early doors was necessarily a good idea. But you know, it's easy enough to say when the lap times are like in the 45s. If your lap times are consistently in the 46s on the softs, you probably won't want to be dropping another second for an hour of this race, essentially over 30 odd laps. You know, that's 30. You know, by the time you've done 30 laps. And you're losing a second or so a lap. It's 30 seconds. So two stops, that's 2 minutes. That's a minute. Plus, obviously, your time in the pits as well. When you factor that in as well, that's 2 minutes. Fubar just dropped off a little bit. Was 6 seconds behind Stormfly, but will still be on the racetrack and will go through when Stormfly goes into the pits. Watch this space is all I'm going to say about this guy. I think top 3 is on the cards for him. It's certainly, he's going to be on soft tyres and he's going to be going quickly. I would say Wiggy might be in danger. I would also say that Arooms might be in a little bit of trouble as well. We'll see. Arooms currently, sorry, we're looking at Colum there. Colum's still holding Arooms behind him, and that is exactly what those 3 in front will be happy about. Is that Rooms is not able at the moment to ramp up the pace while he's stuck in there behind Colum. You know, I love how people jump into a room that's clearly a league race. And Colum, obviously of the Amigos racing team. It's good of him to join us from Amigos, from our friends at Amigos. And do you know what? I really like the fact that our races aren't just confined to us. You know, obviously Wiggy, Stormfly, Fubar, all Black Flag drivers. We've got Colum from Amigos, he's running there in 4th place. We've got Arooms there from TG Community Racing. He's there in 5th place. TJ from Black Flag, Old Man Jay from Black Flag, as is Grizz Troopers. Black Mamba always floating about a bit in different groups, racing with different people. Has been with us, but also with others as well. So, Arooms still outside that 1 second window he really wants to be in to get the maximum slipstream. You know, ideally he wants to come out of this infield section back onto the oval within about half a second of the back of Colum. Stick within that half a second through the bus stop and then get the slingshot out of the bus stop. And we've seen how powerful that overtake is. We saw Wiggy do it on I think it was actually on Arooms he did it, or maybe not. I think it might be the Stormfly, but it's such a big slingshot. Was it on Fubar? Can't remember. But it was a massive slingshot that got him out of the bus stop that got him up and where he is now in first place, of course. Still 1 minute back. 1 minute 1 second before, it's now 1 minute 2 seconds. But his pace is quite phenomenal. 1:44.9 was his last lap. But he's you're not gonna get good lap times when you are coming off the racetrack like that. So that's a problem right there. Not a lot of fuel on board. He's gone for clearly a very, very short stint here, and then maybe a long stint towards the end then, because he didn't put a lot of fuel on board. I don't know whether that was an accident or whether that was a deliberate strategy, because he's got plenty of tyre left and he's going to run out of fuel long before he runs out of tyre. But still comfortably in sixth place, 54 seconds clear of Old Man Jay, who's got a dreaded half-second bus stop penalty. Hate that bus stop for that. You've got to be so precise. Not so much on the way in, but on the way out, you've got to be so precise across those yellow rumble strips. You need to use those yellow rumble strips to get the best speed through the corners. But you've got to be so careful with where you place the car, because it's so easy to pick up that half-second penalty. And anyone will know when you're racing on a racetrack like this with long straights here into Lagos Spa, where the penalty line is in such a difficult place. Even at Le Mans, when you pick up a half-second penalty there, it costs you sometimes upwards of 2 or 3 seconds, because you're going slowly for those. You're not accelerating; you're actually decelerating in an acceleration zone. So you are already, 50, 60 kilometers an hour slower than you should be when going through it. And then you've still got to get up to speed to catch up. Now, we know a 1 second penalty into Lagos costs you about 4 seconds. And I imagine it's not far off 2 seconds for a half-second penalty here. We can see there, that gap's now 54 seconds. So Wiggy into the pits. And actually, that's earlier than I thought he was going to go in. Much earlier than I thought he was going to go in. He has gone past that 1 hour mark, so he will be running to the end. But I feel he could have capitalised on those soft tyres and given himself a few more laps with low fuel, with grippy tyres, with Stormfly coming in. And I think actually this could be a bit of a blow for Wiggy. If I'm not sure particularly he knew that Stormfly was coming in, unless he told him, of course. But I think one more lap he could have done quite easily there. At least, maybe 2. So that promotes Fubar into the lead. Arooms is now around Kulum. He's 9 seconds behind Fubar. Now remember, Arooms is going to try and run to the end of this race, if the fuel will allow him to do so. If we consider that he has already nearly burned a quarter, he's already halfway of burning a quarter tank of fuel, and there's still an hour left of this race. So I think fuel is going to be the big concern for the Dutchman here. And it may be his downfall. The AMG liking the taste of petrol could be the big downfall for Arooms. But Fubar in the lead of this race. He can go certainly this lap, maybe even another. And his pace is good. His pace is very, very consistent, in fact. Last 2 laps, there was less than 6 thousandths of 7 thousandths of a second between the 2 lap times. And in terms of the last 10 laps, the last 8 or 9 laps, there's been very little difference. The fastest being a 45.5 and the slowest being a 46.5. So a second difference over 9 laps, over 10 laps now. 1 second difference maximum between the fastest and the slowest. That's very, very consistent driving. 8.2 seconds is his lead. He's going to do 1 more lap, then he's going to come in. He will be running the soft compound tyres to the end of this race as Grizz Troopers comes out from the pits after his last stop. So he is currently running in 9th place. He's 23 seconds behind Old Man Jay. Old Man Jay has also done his last stop. They're both going to the end on the racing soft tyres. Black Mamba ahead of them, 8.7 seconds. is the gap to Black Mamba. He is going to not pit now for another, I would imagine probably lap 70 to 72, depending on how brave he is in that BMW. He will then also go in. He'll go on the. I think he'll be on the. I remember rightly. I think he hasn't run the medium tyres yet. We need to go on the medium tyres. We'll see where that brings him out, but he will certainly be pitting later than those two. Don't know what Yoshi was doing in the room. Probably looking for Mario. So TJ running in 6th place. He will need to pit again. Fuel-wise, his issues. Tyres are not a problem, but fuel will be his issue. He'll need to fill up that tank just to get into the end of this 3-hour race here at Daytona. And if you are just joining us, we are at the Daytona Road Course. This is race number 3 of the Mind Endurance event. We are at Daytona in the United States. It is 3 hours. We've been through the nighttime cycle from afternoon through the early evening, up through the darkness of night, and then we're now in early morning with just 1 hour left of this 3-hour endurance race, emulating a full 24-hour time cycle, of course. Just another run today, and unfortunately the championship leader, Yellow Sausages, has had a medical setback with his gammy leg and finds himself in hospital over Christmas and will not be able to compete for the rest of this championship. And we'll find that his current perfect record of 2 wins from 2 races will be taken away from him today, and he's not able to put in the challenge. So we're saying there, TJ is 1 minute now, 1 minute 5 seconds behind Colum, who goes into the pits. Now we'll see just how much time you lose, because the gap there was 1 minute 5 seconds. But Colum's going to be in those pits for some time, so we'll get a really good, accurate depiction of just the difference there. So he's now going to run to the end of this race on the medium tyres. That battle he had with Fubar is going to be very, very difficult to continue, purely because he's on the medium tyres. Black Mamba goes in for his final stop. He will come up behind Old Man J and Grizz Troopers, but how far behind, and how far less fuel as well? That's the other question. So there is Colum. He comes out in 5th place. The gap down to 21 seconds. So it's a 40-second pit loss if you're filling up your tank. And he didn't even fill it to full. So filling to full, you are looking at about 50 seconds. Stormfly's been in. He's back out. He's back out in 4th place. He is. He's going to run to the end now. He's on the soft tyres. He's 16 seconds behind Wiggy, who is also on the soft compound tyre. I think Wiggy must have started. Did he start on the medium? He must have started on the medium tyres, surely. Or maybe still got one. I can't remember. I really should write it down, shouldn't I? So 15 seconds is the gap that Stormfly needs to make up. They're both on soft tyres right now. Wiggy looking pretty damn racy. It's going to be a very, very big uphill task for Stormfly. And Stormfly, let's be fair, Stormfly was dominating. He absolutely dominated qualifying. Qualified on pole, got swallowed up though from the start. That super silhouette, as quick as it is in a straight line, not very good from a standing start, and got swallowed up by both Jaguars and the AMG of Arooms off the line. Did have a very good battle with Arooms, got himself a sort of 6-second lead at one stage, but then after the pit stop just couldn't, on the medium tyres, couldn't get the same kind of consistency. Had a couple of little issues, couple of really slow laps, penalty here or there, and ended up losing out to the much faster Wiggy in the Swift VGT behind him. So he's got some work to do now, but we know if anybody has got it in the locker, it is Stormfly. 18 seconds is his gap back to behind Wiggy. Talking of 18 seconds, that is the gap between Wiggy and Arooms in the AMG. He's just lapping Grizz Troopers. It is lap 72. There are about 30 laps remaining, there or thereabouts, as Fubar into the pits for his final stop. So Arooms will take the lead of this race, but remember, Fubar is going to be on the soft tyres with less fuel. The question is going to be, where does he slot in? Does he slot in ahead of Stormfly? So Wiggy will come through. Arooms in the lead of this race, being chased down by Wiggy. but he's on the medium compound tire. Now, in terms of lap times on those mediums, Arooms has been doing actually not too dissimilar on the mediums that he was doing on the softs. His issue, I think, is going to be fuel. So his only job right now is to try and build. He's got a 17-second gap right now. He's going to need to get that out to about 32, 33 seconds. Because he's going to have to come in and splash and dash some fuel before the end of this race. There's no way with the fuel he's got left, unless he's going to fuel map 6 it, and let's face it, if he does that, he will get caught in terms of speed, because it is all about flat out straight line speed at Daytona. He will need to splash and dash some fuel, and it will cost him probably 35 to 40 seconds, depending on when he goes in, obviously. But 35 to 40 seconds will be his pit loss. So there is Wiggy, 17 seconds. That's the gap he needs to make up. He also will need to stop again. He's going to do a very short stint at the end on the medium tyres. So his job, where Aroom's job is to try and open up a big gap, Wiggy's job is to try and close it as much as possible. And if possible, not just close the gap, but get past him and open up a gap of his own. He won't necessarily know that Arooms needs to stop again either. That's the question, is whether he's kind of done the math, when he's looked at the fuel and looked at the pit stop and thought, can he possibly make it? He won't know for certain what Aroom's strategy is. So his job is just to hell for leather, close that gap, and try and stay ahead of Stormfly. So Fubar comes out just 1.7 seconds behind Stormfly. He's on the soft compound tyres. He's running to the end of this race in that Jaguar. He's under no pressure from Colum in the same car. Yes, they're in the same car, but Colum is on the medium compound tyres, so we'll be losing about a second a lap in terms of pace. So Fubar, I'm still insisting, although he's been outside the top 3 for the majority of this race, I think he's got his strategy spot on today. Certainly better than he did at Daytona, and I think he's a shoo-in for a 3rd place here. I really do. I think I'll be gutted for him if he doesn't make 3rd. It is going to be about pace. It's going to be difficult to catch Stormfly. Look, we know how quick Stormfly is, particularly on the soft tyres, and that Super Silhouette on soft tyres is fucking awesome. There's no other way to describe that car. It is one of the best GR3 cars in a straight line. Going around corners, not quite so quick. It's no Porsche 911, I'll tell you that. But in a straight line, it's pretty darn good. So it's going to be a struggle for. Look, the Jaguar is quick. He's quick himself in a straight line, but not quite as good as that Super Silhouette. The question really, though, is whether Fubar can keep up the pace through the sections of the racetrack where the Jaguar is quicker. In terms of lap times, there is no real differentiation between the two of them. In fact, you could argue actually on the medium tyres that Fubar was doing slightly better lap times than Stormfly was. On the softs, we know Stormfly can do a 44.4 on soft tyres. Fubar has done a 44.7. I think it's 44.6, 44.7 on the soft tyres. So in terms of lap times, not much difference between them. This is a straight out fight. 2.9 seconds to 3 seconds is the gap at the moment, but this is a straight fight to the end of this race. The gap 16 seconds out front, so we closing that gap slightly. Arooms will need to open the gap, but at the moment that's not happening. He's going to have to stop again, as is Wiggy. Wiggy's going to have to stop. Arooms is going to have to stop. We will probably have to stop first, looking at the fuel there, and he's got to put on some medium tyres. So he might be under a bit of pressure from Stormfly and from Fubar. So I still think Fubar is a shoo-in for top 3. Yellow flag, and who has crashed? Somebody has crashed to bringing out a yellow flag. Black Mamba looked to be going a bit slow there. I don't know who that was. Grizz Troopers at the back of the pack. So I said Black Mamba would come out and not necessarily be last. Did Grizz Troopers have a problem? Well, looking at those lap times there, he has just had a dent on the front of his car. You've got to say that on the soft compound tyres in this particular stint, been struggling a little bit. Outside the 1 minute 50s, for 3 of the last 4 laps. And if you average out that 52 and the 48, he hasn't been under 1 minute 50 since the pit stop. And that puts him 10 seconds back in that Corvette. That's the big thing about sort of these really long endurance races. When you're racing for 2-3 hours at a time, you know, towards the end, the tiredness sets in, the concentration starts to go, your back's ache, your knees ache. You know, we're not kids, man, we're old men. And things start to hurt. It's the reason why Patrick's not racing today. His back was not up for the challenge. So you've got to try and have the same kind of focus, the same concentration on, you know, lap 70, lap 80, lap 90 that you had on lap 1, 2 and 3. And at the moment it looks just like there's been a couple of drop-offs there from Grizz as we see that super silhouette of Stormfly just coming up to lap him. So Black Mamba's 9.5 seconds up the road, but he's on. I think the only saving grace for Grizz Troopers here is that Black Mamba is on the medium compound tyres. And we know they lose about a second a lap. Well, certainly a second a lap in the hands of the front runners. But we'll see whether Grizz Troopers can, and he's 15 seconds. So, he's cost himself some time now. He's off the racetrack. Now, here's the thing. Did he move over to let the on-rushing Stormfly through? And if that's the case, has he cost himself 8th place here by moving over, or was it just genuinely a mistake? Was it just? It looks to me that he's really struggling, and I think he's being a little bit too polite with letting people through. He was in a race here, and I genuinely think that 10 seconds gap, he could have caught Black Mamba. I think being quite as generous as he was is going to cost him, and I think it's going to cost him the opportunity for 8th. So Black Mamba running in 8th place right now. 48 seconds gap to Old Man J. That is insurmountable task, I think, looking at the lap times. He's on the medium compound tyres as well. He's not going to be lapping much quicker than low 49s. Old Man J, you know, keep picking up penalties, you'll be in trouble. Old Man J in the he's doing low 46s to low 47. He's been in the the high 45s. So actually, he's got some good pace. But not front runner pace, unfortunately. The top 6 have all been that kind of pace. There is TJ in the other Swift, just done the fastest lap of the race with a 1:44.3. But he's going to have to pit this lap. Now, Old Man J is how far behind? 2 laps behind, actually. So, no, he's not going to catch him, is the answer to that question. Yeah, Old Man J just coming up to finish lap 75. TJ just starting lap 77. So it's a lap between them, essentially, as Old Man J will cross the line. So there we go. So he's a lap behind. So it's going to be about a minute. It's probably about 2 minutes back, Old Man J. So TJ will lose about 50 seconds of that when he goes in the pits. But yeah, it's a big task for Old Man J to catch TJ, unless, of course, TJ has a brain fart and puts it into a wall. Then you never know. Where's my coffee? I've lost my coffee. It's bloody cold now. I put a pot on and I'm the pot go cold. Oh God, that's vile when it's cold. Ho hum, shit happens. Coulomb 15 seconds up the road from TJ, but TJ we know he's pitting this lap. So that gap's going to be over a minute by the time TJ comes back out. He's running to the end on the medium compound tyres. 13 seconds back from the other Jaguar, which has Fubar Philantis in it. He's 3.8, 3.9, so I'd say 4 seconds behind Stormfly. It's going to be difficult for him to catch Stormfly. I think where he's going to gain 3rd place is when Wiggy and Arooms go into the pits. He's 37 seconds off the leader. We know that a full tank pit loss is about 50 seconds. I think it really hinges on when Wiggy and Arooms go in. Wiggy's going to when's he going to go in? That's the question. I think Wiggy will probably go in first. I can't say. I'm looking at the fuel, and I don't think I can't think they've got enough. No, there's no way they've got enough to run to the end, Wiggy and Arooms, and the reason being they're just they're both at around half a tank of fuel, and there's still 40 minutes left to go in this race. And if they could have done 40 odd minutes on half a tank, they could have one-stopped this race, and neither of them have. So I don't know. Maybe there'll be some crazy fuel saving, but the problem is, if they do go crazy fuel saving, they'll get caught by Stormfly and Fubar behind, who are going to be much quicker on the soft tyres. Arooms he's lapping very similar, to be fair. On the medium tyres, he's not too much slower than he was on the softs. He's still lapping in that mid to high 45 on a regular basis, to be fair. And there's only 0.6 difference between, not even that, 0.6 difference between his slowest and his fastest lap since lap 70, and we're on now lap 79. One more lap 80, and that will be 22 or 23 laps to go. So there we go. It's the 2 hour 20 minute mark. There are 40 minutes left in this race here at Daytona, Racing for Mind, the mental health charity. And we're doing this because 1 in 15 people will attempt suicide in their lifetime. Staggering figures, really staggering. The majority of them will be men, because as we know, men are step up a lip, don't want to talk about it, but that's why we are doing this. And we've already raised 450 quid. Let's get another 50 quid on the board, and we can all be happy and high five and feel good. Not necessarily feel good about doing something good, but it's always nice to feel good about doing something good. But know that we've made a difference. Just we've had a bit of fun doing what we like doing, and we've made a difference at the same time. How's about that then? So I'll tell you what, if I can't see it happening, looking at the strategies, looking at the fuel, looking at what's got to unfold later in this race, I can't see Arooms winning this. I could be proved wrong. I can't see it personally. However, what a performance for a driver in his first race with Black Flag. Wasn't at all phased by new people around him. Picked a good car for this as well, and to be fair, I like that livery as well. Nice red and yellow livery on that AMG. As the sunshine beats down here at Daytona, we're into the last 20 minutes of this 3-hour race. Nobody, bar the front two, needs to pit again, and the question is, do the front two even have to pit? Because we're looking at what TJ's just put on board in terms of fuel, and he's not far off the fuel that they've got on board, so maybe they can go to the end here. I'm not entirely convinced they can, but we will see what we will see. I think we'll have a look in 10 minutes, and we'll look where we are in terms of fuel in 10 minutes time, and then we'll know where we stand. But we've got Arooms out from 14 seconds clear. The gap's come down a little bit, and it's continued to drop. So 45.5 his last lap, 45.3 for Wiggy. 22 laps remaining. The pace will need to be, he's going to need to start chucking out half a second a lap every lap. If they are racing till the end, that's what Wiggy needs to do. He needs half a second a lap every lap to the end of this race if he wants to catch Arooms. That's the job he needs to do. Stormfly is going to need to do 3/4 of a second a lap every lap to the end if he wants to catch Wiggy. He's going to have to do 1.3 seconds a lap every lap to catch Arooms. So that poor middle sector on those medium tyres really costing Stormfly. And at the moment, he's got Fubar. He's 3 seconds ahead of Fubar. They're both on the soft compound tyres. I'll tell you what, if Wiggy and if Wiggy or Arooms have to pit, then Fubar will be in the top 3. That's what's hinging on whether they need to pit or not. I don't know. they look to have managed the fuel quite well. It looked at one stage to me like they were short on fuel, but as we've sort of moved a bit further in, it seems that they have managed it quite well, and or maybe judged it perfectly. That's surely going to be a penalty there for Arun. Well over that, but he doesn't seem to have picked one up there. That for me was a proper shortcut, but seems to have got away with that quite expertly. So Grid Trooper's 23 seconds back. I think he could have caught Black Mamba had he not been quite so eager to let the fast car. Look, you've got to let him through. You don't have to be quite so detrimental to your own race in order to do so. I learnt my lesson well with that. Yeah, when I first started racing with those who should not be named, I was having quite a good battle at the back with a couple of drivers, and ended up finishing last because I was so eager to let the faster cars through rather than think about it. I ended up costing myself the race, but there we go. Well, not a win, obviously, but certainly not being last. Black Mamba, 23 seconds ahead of Grizz, 49 behind Old Man J. Not going to catch him. Old Man J is lapping faster. That gap will be bigger by the end of this race. 1.5 minutes, essentially just under a full lap behind TJ. Not going to catch him, and just under a full lap. TJ is behind Colum in the other Jaguar. He's on the medium tyres, but he's doing solid low 46s all the way, and it is literally, that's a very, very close grouping. From lap 73 to 81, there is literally no difference at all. 4/400ths of a second difference between the fastest and the slowest lap within those 9 laps. Fubar Philantis 19 seconds clear of Colum. In the battle of the two Jags, that's certainly been won by Fubar. He's nearly 20 seconds clear. He's on the soft compound tyres as well, lapping a couple of seconds a lap faster than, it's that 1 second a lap difference. They were lapping at very similar times, but Fubar now on the soft compound tyre is a second a lap faster than him, so that gap will open up somewhat. It's weather. 45.3, 45.3, 45.0, 45.0 dead. 2/10 of a second difference there in the lap times, from lap 75 to lap 81. Where Stormfly now has done 44, 47, 44, 44, 44. So he is 3.7 seconds clear. Now the danger here is when you push as hard as Stormfly is pushing, and you can see there where he had the 147, do you risk, is it worth risking third place to try and just get that extra bit of pace out of the car? Or just, can he manage that gap at 3 seconds without over pushing and risking losing everything? We'll see. I mean, at the moment, he's been putting in solid high 44s to Fubar's low 45s. As Fubar does his fastest lap of the race, actually, he goes sub 45 there. So Fubar just started to ramp it up in the tail end of this race. 2.8 seconds is the gap to Stormfly. And we'll see what Stormfly's next lap is. Gap 2, Wiggy, 17 seconds. Without a crash, without a crash or a pit stop, I don't think that is going to be caught up. And actually, I think they've managed. I stand corrected on the fuel, because I think they have managed it expertly, these two. And I don't know what's going on there, but it looks to me like Arun's fuel hasn't gone down in like 3 laps. So he is clearly got into super fuel save mode. He's got this is the thing, when you've got a 13-second lead going into the last sort of 15 laps of a race, particularly of a race this long, you can afford just to kind of to look after your fuel and look after your tyres a little bit more, and not take any risks. because you can keep an eye on that gap, and you can see when the gap starts to come down towards sort of 8 or 9 seconds. If you've got something left in the tank to give, you can put that back on the table. And that, when I watch, obviously I watch a lot of racing across different platforms, and you kind of see that the most successful drivers on a regular basis are the drivers that can do that can rein it in and pull it back out, and rein it in and pull it out, and monitor the gap, and know when it's time to go balls out, and know when it's time to just kind of hang back and not take any risks. At the moment, that's exactly what Rooms is doing. He knows that he was touch and go for that. He really burned a lot of fuel early on, and it was looking like it was going to be a struggle to make such a long time with the fuel he had left at the end of this race. It's still got half hour to go. It's not all done and dusted yet, but he's got a good amount of fuel on board. So what he's doing is he's looking at, I'll tell you exactly what he's doing in the car right now. He's looking at his lap times. He's dropped off the pace a little bit. He's dropped out of the 45s into the low 46s. And I think he's quite happy to do that, because he knows the gap at 13 seconds. As I said, he can just take his eye off the ball a little bit. Well, not take his eye off, but take his eye off the prize a little bit, and just chuck in consistent, clean laps that are a little bit slower. Watch that lap time. See what the car behind is doing. If the car behind starts to chuck in super quick laps and close that gap to within sort of 5 or 6 or 7 seconds, he knows that then he can get his foot down and start to put those extra laps in. Wiggy at the moment is consistently under 146. He's doing high 45s. He'll be doing a very similar thing with Stormfly. He knows he's got to look after his fuel a little bit. And I think Wiggy actually at the moment he's going to be touch and go with fuel. Half hour left to go in this race. Will be lap 85. So we've still got a good 20 odd laps, just under 20 laps to go, 17 laps to go maybe. It's not going to be plain sailing, I don't think, because I'm looking at the fuel there, and I thought it's not all plain sailing, put it that way. If you've got under half a tank of fuel at half hour, it's not going to be easy to make it to the end. And pretty much, other than Stormfly is just over half a tank, he won't have a problem. Fubar just over half a tank, he won't have a problem. 10 seconds is the gap to Stormfly now, though. It's gonna top three is gonna be the only way that Fubar's getting top three is if Wiggy or Arooms do have undercooked it on fuel. Colum, he's got half a tank, he'll make it all the way. TJ just under, but he's got such a big gap to Old Man J. He can afford to let his have it relax a little bit, because he's a lap ahead. And Old Man J is racing. He's not really racing Stormfly at all. He's letting Stormfly through. Old Man J on lap 84, Stormfly on lap 86. 27 seconds back from Old Man J is Black Mamba. Grizz Troopers has got that gap down to 17 seconds. Now, that's 6 seconds he's taken out of Black Mamba. When he was 10 seconds behind, now the gap is 4 seconds. If he hadn't have compromised his own race, getting out of the way, too much out of the way, just get your car. The thing is, the car behind is lapping you. Just get off the racing line. They can work out how they're going to get past you. Yeah, well, it is what it is. And there is Grizz Troopers. Nice clean bit of racetrack through now. He's got no one really coming behind, not for a while anyway. So nice clean bit of racetrack where he can get off after Black Mamba, who is going to be lapped very soon. I think it looks like by TJ. No, it's not TJ. I'm talking about. That's where is he? That's Colum, isn't it? So there is your race leader. The gap is now 11.4 seconds. He has dropped back into the high 45s, but Wiggy is on a charge. He's just put down his fastest lap of the race, a 1:44.652. That is over a second quicker than Arooms has done in a long time, to be fair. Quite a long time. I think lap 81 was the last time Arooms did anything within a second of that time. So, the question mark is on whether Wiggy has the fuel to maintain this kind of pace. I don't think there's any question anymore on whether Arooms can. He seems to have been holding on quite well with that, and to be fair, has been brilliant. So his middle stint for me was what won in this race. Stint number 1, he did give up a bit of time to Stormfly, and Stormfly went on to kind of dominate the first sort of hour of this race. Then in stint number 2, he went in much earlier than Stormfly did, and the undercut gained him a massive. He was 6 seconds behind, and he was 9 seconds clear after Stormfly's pit stop. That is a massive gain. It's a 15-second swing, and that, I think, has made all the difference. He did give up the lead sometime to Wiggy, but his strategy was much out of sync from everybody else's. And I'm going to be honest, as I thought he would be in trouble come the tail end of this race on the medium tyres with everyone around him on the softs, but he just got big enough gaps. He's clearly done the math, clearly done all the calculations about what he needed to do, and there he is. He is now 11 seconds clear, lap 88 with probably about, what do we think, about 14 laps or so remaining here. And I'll be back with you very, very shortly. And we're back. And it's lap 90. Rooms still leads this race from Wiggy running in second. I've lost my headphones. Oh, there they are. Here we go. So, Arun still leading this race. 9 seconds now is the gap. So it is coming down. Is it coming down enough? That's the question. 1:45.5. Arun's was his last lap. Wiggy with a 1:45.1, 4/10. If he's taking out half a second a lap, Wiggy will catch him. But the question's going to be whether the fuel does last. Fubar up into third. His Stormfly looks like he's had a problem. He has a 1:56.4. Bad lap from him. That's put Fubar into the top three. Will a prediction of mine finally come true? Will Fubar finally get a top three that I think he's thoroughly deserved? Certainly, he certainly deserved one at Bathurst. And will he get that one today? Stormfly is now 4.5 seconds back. In terms of lap times, apart from that wobble, so we should have been on Stormfly when I disappeared out of the room. Maybe that's what I've got to not do, is leave the room for a second, because Stormfly needs the power of the commentary, maybe, to keep going. But yeah, so wobble for him, 4.6 seconds. Lap time 49. He's been chucking in 44s, but he did a 56.4 and a 49.6, and that has cost him shed loads of time. So Fubar 4.8 seconds clear in the Jaguar. All he's got to do is bring that Jaguar. Who was that on the side of the road? That looked like Old Man Jay. Old Man Jay on the grass. And listen, mate, you can't park that there. Luckily for him, the gap to Black Mamba is sizable. So whatever, and maybe I think actually he probably pulled over there to let the racing cars come through, knowing he had such a big gap. He knew he wasn't going to catch TJ. He's a couple of laps ahead of, he's a lap and a bit ahead. But he knew he wasn't giving up too much time to Black Mamba, so that hasn't cost him anything there to move out of the way like he did. Yeah, slightly different scenario than the Grid Troopers had. But he has, anyway, closed down that gap. 1.9 seconds. Black Mamba running in 8th place. And this is the first endurance race we've had where nobody has left inside the 3 hours. And good job from everybody. Really, really pleased with everyone sticking. It would have been nice if we'd had 15. But it is what it is. There was a little football match on today. So some people probably had some sauce and were unable to race this evening. So 2 seconds is the gap. Can Grid Troopers close it down? His last lap was a 1:46.5. Black Mamba with a 1:48.6. At that rate, Grid Troopers will not only pass him, but will build a sizable gap over that BMW. And I actually thought Black Mamba had the strategy about right to finish ahead of Grid Troopers, but not necessarily so. But Old Man Jay, we saw him off the racetrack. He was letting the faster cars through. He is lap back from TJ in the other Swift VGT. This Swift VGT, better car than I thought. When I saw that those three were driving the Swift, I thought, what the fuck are they playing at? Oh, what's he doing? He's off the racetrack there. We saw that track reset there. We don't like the track reset, and we shouldn't have that, to be fair. Resetting back a little bit though, so that will have cost him a bit of time, but not enough to give Old Man Jay any form of false hope here at Daytona. There is Columb, the Canadian, for the Amigos Racing Team. He is 19 seconds back from Stormfly. If Stormfly has another couple of bad laps, you know what? That Jaguar could be challenging for a top 4 spot. But, you know, I said it as well. I said about just over pushing. And it seems that it was right, because he was doing high 44s. Then 2 bad laps with 56 and 49. He's now in the sort of 46. He's gone back down to the low 45. So a bit inconsistency from Stormfly, which is completely at contrast than it was in the first stint, where he was pretty much the best driver out there. 3 seconds, he's got that gap down to Fubar. Fubar has basically 10 laps. 10 laps in this last 15 minutes to there or thereabouts to keep ahead of Stormfly. Stormfly is on a charge. Fubar 46.0 his last lap. Almost 9 tenths faster Stormfly was in that last sector. So Fubar desperately got to see what he dig deep, see what he's got. Has he got anything left? Has he got a little bit extra to give to open up that gap and stay in that top 3? Not going to catch Wiggy. Wiggy 28 seconds ahead. And it looks that the fuel is probably going to be all right. Gap down to 8.1 seconds. 45.8 for Runes. And 45.8 for Wiggy. So no time taken out of him that lap. Is this where Runes just starts to crank it up? He knows now on those medium tyres what he's capable of doing. I imagine he will know the car behind him put on soft compound tyres. Surely that's something you would look at when you're going into your last stint, is what the guys around you are doing, particularly knowing that you're going to be on the mediums. 7.8 seconds is the difference. The current race leader in the Mercedes AMG is Arooms from the Netherlands. He leads 8 seconds here at Daytona from Wiggy. He's in the Suzuki Swift VGT. Wiggy from Wales. He is 30 seconds almost clear of Fubar Philantis from Great Britain. He is in the Jaguar, the GR3 Jaguar, 2.2 seconds ahead at the moment, although it's looking like the charge is on for Stormfly, also of the Netherlands. He's gone for the classic Nissan Super Silhouette, piece of fucking 1980s, 1990s beauty. Love that car. 21 seconds back is the Canadian Columbe from the Amigos Racing Team. 1 minute 13 seconds back is another Dutchman, TJ, also in the Suzuki Swift VGT, in shiny chrome. 1 lap ahead of Old Man Jay, also in the Swift VGT. Old Man Jay from United Kingdom as well. He's got 35 seconds on Black Mamba, also of the United Kingdom, who's opted for the BMW, strangely. But how long will he stay in 8th place? Because Grizz Troopers of the United States in the Corvette is just 1.2 seconds behind him. It's lap 91. We are into the last 15 minutes of this 3-hour endurance race for the Charity Mind here at Daytona. This is race number 3 of 5. And up next will be either Spa or Nordschleife, depending on lobby issues. And Grizz Troopers has closed that gap down to under a second almost. Can he make some moves out of this infield section, back out onto the oval? And if he's tucked in behind it with some slipstream, that BMW could be vulnerable. Got to say, the BMWs were much stronger on GTS. From what I've seen so far of the BMWs here on GT7, they've all been pretty ropey. It's strange because you watch some of the faster drivers and they seem to get really good, solid, quick lap times out of the BMWs, but no one else really. But there we go. So Grizz Troopers is under 1 second. He's in that slipstream. He is closing down, reeling in Black Mamba. He desperately wants 8th place back. He cost himself quite a bit of time moving out of people's way. He would already be ahead of Black Mamba had he just continued on racing. And he's going into the bus stop now. Does he get a good slingshot out of here? A good solid slingshot out of this bus stop chicane. And it's bye-bye Black Mamba and hello Grizz Troopers in 8th place. And he actually didn't get a very good exit out of there. Not tucked in enough in the slipstream. He's not going to make the move this lap. Not going to happen. It will rely on Black Mamba making a mistake. So 7.1 seconds is the gap Aroom still leads this race. 1:46.2 was his last lap. He's 1.2 seconds off his pace through the sectors 1 and 2 so far. Wiggy with a 45.9. That's another 0.3 chucking out there. And as so we'll see Aroom's cross the line, and we'll see what the gap is as both cars cross the line. So Aroom's across the line. Wiggy comes round. He will cross the line. That gap is down to 6.6 seconds. Aroom's with a 46.2. Wiggy with a 45.5. That's 0.7 he's taken out in that lap. He is hunting him down. There's a big mistake there from Wiggy coming out turns 1 and 2. That is going to cost him loads of time, and I think that ends that charge. Commentator's curse strikes again, and that charge, it was on. It was certainly on. But now the gap out to 9.4 seconds, and Aroom's, I think, he's going to win this race, and he's going to see that coming out, and he's going to be breathing a very big sigh of relief. It's not over yet, though. We have got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes left here is essentially about 8 laps. What do you reckon? Well, we said I said about 102, maybe 103, 104 laps, maybe. Do we reckon we've got that many laps left in it? Let's say 6 laps. I think there's 6 laps left in it. So I think 102 was spot on. Stormfly has got himself ahead of Fubar. Fubar couldn't hold him off. So now it's all about whether Stormfly can stay ahead and not make a mistake. We saw Wiggy on the charge. He made a mistake. The gap to these guys now 26 seconds. Fubar comes out of the infield section. He's just half a second back. Bit of slipstream here, and it could be Super Silhouette outside the top 3. As much as a travesty that would be, I'm rooting for Fubar here. No, I'm not rooting for Stormfly, but I think Fubar has long been missed out on a podium place. He's been so close, so many races. He'll want this. He'll want this big time. Particularly with us losing Chris for the rest of the season, or the rest of these 5 races. It's a good opportunity for somebody else to get themselves in that top 3, and the gap is still 0.7. Stormfly not able to pull away. In terms of tyres, both looking very good. Both certainly going to make it to the end of this race without any tyre issues at all. Looking at Wiggy's looking really good. Well, absolutely fine on Aroom's car. He's on the medium tyres, so he's not going to have like super crazy. If he was on the soft tyres now, he'd be in trouble. But because he's on the medium tyres, he'd be okay. So 6 laps remaining. Wiggy's charge is over twofold, really. The pace he was going, he was very close to catching him, but he's not going to be able to maintain that pace for the rest of the race. And with the fuel he's got left, he's going to have to start thinking about holding back a little bit. He's done enough to guarantee second, I think, at this stage. 25 seconds clear of Stormfly, and I mean, he'd have cost himself almost 4 seconds that lap. So yeah, really cost himself some time. So Rooms is going to be safe in the lead. Grizz Troopers hasn't made his way around Black Mamba. What happened? Because he's now 2.5 seconds back. Lap 94, he had a terrible lap of 1:51.1. So that charge was on, and then it was off again. Is it back on again? That's the question. Can Grizz Troopers dig in, knuckle down for these last few laps, and try and just find that little bit extra, and get the American muscle with the American driver on the American racetrack past the German BMW of Black Mamba 24. And Fubar's charge on Stormfly, 1.7 seconds now is the gap. I think it's only going to take a mistake. So that, I mean, Fubar's just done a 1:45.7. But Stormfly with a 45.0. Just finding that little bit extra pace. And then he's going to have a little bit of slipstream soon from a back marker in the form of, that's TJ. He's not really a back marker, is he? He's 3 places behind them. I mean, that shows the pace out front, because TJ is in 6th place, but he's 2 minutes behind the leader. He's about to be lapped by Stormfly and Fubar, who are in 3rd and 4th place. Columbe is, I don't think he's 25 seconds back from that battle. I don't think he's going to be close enough to make to lap him this stage. There's your race leader, 8.4 seconds. He really can look after his fuel and tyres now. Doesn't have to worry. He knows there are essentially 4 laps remaining in this race. Those 4 laps will take him across the line, I think, as the winner, and winning on a debut race with a new group that you haven't raced before, and you have to be pretty impressed with that. We were expecting Nick John Baker actually to race, fellow Dutchman, but feeling under the weather. He's been quite ill quite a lot lately. I hope he's okay and he gets the help he needs to feel better. There is Wiggy. Wiggy is, I don't want to tempt fate and commentator's curse to say it, but I think he's pushed too hard, and I don't think there's enough fuel on board that car to go 3 more laps. If it does, it's going to be pretty slow laps. Now, the gap to Stormfly's 24 seconds. It would need to be a monumental fuck-up to not make it. There isn't enough time for him to splash and dash. That's the problem there. There isn't enough time to splash and dash. So he's going to have to try and manage that fuel. Essentially 3 more laps. I don't know if he's got enough. I'm going to say that. I know you guys can't see it, but I can. And I'm telling you, I don't think he can. I think the pushing... this is the thing. I think if he's now within a couple of seconds of a Rooms is potentially going to push a bit harder and make a mistake, and potentially make it easier for Wiggy. But I think with the gap as it is, and Wiggy making that mistake on lap 96, we're now of course on lap 99. Yeah, I don't know. It would be nice if I could see how many litres of fuel they had left. That'd be quite awesome. But I don't think there's enough there. So Rooms is 8.1 seconds clear, and barring a monumental fuck up, he's going to win this race in the Mercedes AMG. And loving the livery on their car. I'm loving the fact they've made it all the way to the end of the race without putting any damage on their cars. Wiggy running in second in the Suzuki VGT. Surprise package, that car. I didn't think that car was good enough. I stand corrected. Stormfly now 4 seconds clear of Fubar. They're not having the same fuel problems that the guys out in front are. Look, there's 3 laps left. There is potential that both of these cars still out front might run out of fuel. Both Rooms and Wiggy. The fact that they're both going to go pretty damn slowly, they're going to probably fuel map it right out to stretch it. I don't think Stormfly and Fubar are close enough, unless of course one of these runs out of fuel. You run out of fuel at Daytona, you are in big fucking trouble, because these long straights where you should be doing 150, 160, 170 mile an hour, you're going to be doing 50, and then you're going to be absolutely screwed. But we'll see. We will see what we will see. Let's check out the back. Grid Troopers despite pushing 4.9 seconds now the gap, Black Mamba just seems to have... He's ramping it up now, Black Mamba. He's on the medium tyres, so hasn't quite got the same grip that Chris Troopers has, but he looks like he's kept something back. And now those soft tyres are starting to show signs of wear. I'm sure Chris Troopers... I'm surprised actually that he didn't catch him. And I'll tell you what cost Grid Troopers 8th place here. It was being far too nice with letting people through. And I appreciate you want to get out of the way. You don't want to compromise anyone's race, but you shouldn't be compromising your own at any stage in a race, whether you're last or first. You shouldn't be compromising your own race to help somebody else's in that kind of instance. You can easily lap somebody without it compromising you too much. And if everybody follows the same rules, then everybody that comes to lap you will have the same problem. So, if the person coming up behind you feels that they've been held up, that's fine, because the person chasing them down will at some stage also be held up. It's the nature of motor racing. Is what it is. You don't barge people that way. And Wiggy, Wiggy has folded. He's gone into the pits. He knew he couldn't make it to the end. He's back out, just in second place still. He went in. He said he went in. Did he go in and put anything on? We put on medium tyres and literally like a splash of fuel, maybe. That was the quickest pit stop in human history. He literally drove in, tyres on, and then straight back out again. And to be fair, he could have probably left the tyres on he had. The tyres he had on were okay. Or did he need to run the medium tyres, and that's why he did it. Because he still needed to run the medium, so that was it. So he's gone final lap of the race and chucked on the required medium tyres. I actually forgot about that. He probably could have got away with it, could have forgotten. So he was doing last lap of the race on mediums. I don't know if that was his intention, but fuel-wise, yeah, how are we doing? We're looking at Runzet, and he's going to do one more. It's going to be 102 laps, as I said. Should just make it. 28 seconds is the gap now. Unless he runs out of fuel, he's not going to get caught. Wiggy, Stormfly is only 1.2 seconds behind him. He's on medium tyres, and Stormfly, I'll tell you what, Stormfly's lucked out here a bit, hasn't he? Right, so, does this bring Fubar back into this potential third place? Because he can make it to the end, there's no question about that. Stormfly can make it to the end. I'm not sure whether Wiggy can. Oh no, it's Wiggy. Luckily, the time runs out before he crosses the line. So Wiggy comes home second, Stormfly third, Fubar comes home in fourth. Fifth will be Columbe. Or Colum. Not sure how you pronounce that. Colum. TJ will come home in sixth place. I did come home in sixth place. Old Man J in seventh. Black Mamba eighth. Grizz Troopers ninth. But there is your race winner. Just coming out of the final sector there, and we didn't have enough time on it for him to finish the race, but he will be your winner. There he is, Arum's first race for us, and yeah, brilliant position for him. Qualified third, finished first, great racing. So that was entertaining, wasn't it? And I think Wiggy, just by virtue of, I think the pit stop probably saved him from running out of fuel, to be fair, and they couldn't quite get caught in the end. So, how about that? All done and dusted. That's another race over. And 2 more to go in this series. Now, this stream finishes now. And in little over 2 hours' time, we are back for the GT Champions All-Stars. And if I can still speak after that, I'll be very freaking surprised. Congratulations to everybody that's participated. 3 hours racing is no mean feat. Well done to everyone. Big thank you to Jay for getting everything organised and sorted out. Get well soon, Chris. Great racing there from Wiggy. Just held out for second place there, just by the skin of his vagina. Just held out for second. We move on. Next race, maybe at Spa, maybe at Nordschleife. We'll let you know this week. Once we've tested out, see if Spa is working. Spa is working. It will be the next race, and Nordschleife will be the final race of this series. Black Flag are back in action on Monday with the GR4 lottery, so we'll see you back for that. But I'm going to disappear now, and I will see you in a couple of hours for GT Champions All Stars. Thank you very much for joining me.
A donation of £20 could help 167 people take their first steps in getting mental health support through Minds booklets.